cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, everybody. We are back. We are back for another episode of the PWCC Premier Auction Ending Watch Party. It is Thursday, April the 18th, 2024. My name is Jeremy Lee, and we are going to get right into it. I can see my guy, Adam Gray, has everything working. Let's bring him out right now. Adam, welcome back. Your favorite day of the month. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, man. I had a fantastic trip down to see the eclipse last week, which was amazing. Feeling refreshed, energized, and have all sorts of thoughts on everything that's going on in the hobby and this auction. And as always, as you mentioned, best night of the month. Excited to hang out with you, man.
So listen, before we jump in and talk about the items, and by the way, I want to let everybody know that Brian Dennison, Cajun Cardboard, will be joining us in about half an hour. And we're going to be looking at a new segment. We'll see how it goes, called the Cajun Curation. He's going to bring 5 or 6 cards. Actually, it's 5 that he's really interested in, and we'll have them teed up and ready to go. And also, Adam, I'm wearing my Michael Jordan rookie card shirt in honor of the 10 new autographed copies that just hit the population from out of nowhere. That story is taking the hobby by storm in the last 24 hours or so. I'm curious, and even before we get to comments and say hello to everybody, that's pretty interesting and big news that Jordan would sit down, sign 10 of these things. Apparently they were cracked out of PSA slabs. A PSA rep was there to witness the signing, which is really great. I mean, that's a nice thing to have when you're buying one of these cards, for sure. Have you thought about this at all? What do you make of this, and what do you think's going on behind the scenes there?
I don't know how many messages I've gotten about sort of like, what do you think this does to other autographed copies, or how do you feel about this? Honestly, I thought about how people collect most of all, because this is something you and I have talked about a lot. You're not somebody who's always into the autographs on the cards, and I've been somebody who's been more into it. But the thing that is clear to me is there's the people who had those really high graded copies, and they are no longer the highest. And that's one of the real risks right now, is this world of aftermarket autographs is really exploding. You know, a lot of people have said, well, Jordan doesn't sign those anymore, so you're never going to see anymore. Well, we've just proven that that's just not true, right? And so I wouldn't feel great if I had a lower end copy. I think it's really exciting. I've heard people just throw out big numbers as to what they may be worth. I'm not super comfortable with those ideas. I think they're really cool. Obviously, I'd love to have one, but it's interesting to me. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen commentary that one of these copies that has a 10 on the card and a 10 on the auto, that it could actually be $1 million card. That's a lot of money, especially when there's 10 more autographed Jordan rookies that have entered the market, the population. I wonder, but I'm really curious, whose are they? Whose cards are they? How did they hook up with Michael Jordan? Why did he agree to sign them? There's more questions than answers right now, at least for what I'm aware of and informed on. So, which is really nothing, just what everyone else has seen. So I find it interesting. I find it a little bit of a telltale sign, or a warning almost, for populations. Like you said, populations they are not fixed. They can change. I forget who I saw say it, but unless that person is actually dead, there's always the risk that there could be more that enter into the pot. And not, I mean, there's still risk that more can enter, even if the player's dead, if they're just undiscovered, right. Unknown, right before the greater hobby becomes aware of them. So pretty interesting.
One last thought. I had one gentleman message me today and say, "Oh, Adam, aren't you so glad you sold your John Stockton autographed rookie when you did? So many of them have been signed since then." And back when I was buying the Kobe Logo Man auto, I had to sell a bunch of stuff that I hadn't ever planned on selling, and that was one of the cards. And a lot of people don't know this, but John Stockton, just for whatever reason, didn't sign his rookie for a long time, and so there were like 10 in the population for years, and then now there's like tons of them. And so people this guy asked, aren't you so glad that you got what you got for it? Because I got like $5,000 for it. It wasn't a small amount of money. And I said, I'm not here to like just try to always time the market. That wasn't what that was about. I almost kind of feel badly when that happens. That's never my goal. But the reality is that with these players that are still alive, as the numbers increase, and if Michael Jordan signing a card takes it from being 200,000 to, as some people are suggesting, $1 million, isn't it worth it? I mean, isn't it worth it to do a bunch of those? That's why I don't personally love that stuff. And we've talked about this. I don't love that stuff as much as I love like the Babe Ruth autograph on an original card, or the Joe DiMaggio. Like, those cards to me mean something a little bit more. And it's not to put down the current players. It's still a way to make the Michael Jordan rookie a lot rarer than it is, right? With its thousands and thousands in the population, 324 PSA 10s. But it's not as interesting to me as it is, like you said it really well, as the people who have passed away.
Yeah. I hear you. But the autograph rookie cards have been, a trend in the hobby for the last couple of years now, I'd say. And Jordan being, the GOAT of all GOATs, of all sports, maybe of all industries, not just sports. It's an interesting turn of events there with all those cards getting out there. And, just the fact that they're out there and everybody knows about it. If they kind of slid into the population slowly once every, quarter, every 3 months or so, that might be a little bit different. But all at once, it raises a lot of questions, and I wonder if we'll ever get answers. But in any event, and I also wonder if we'll see one of those for sale on the Premier auction here on PWCC in upcoming months. Something tells me we might. No one's told me. I'm just thinking like the best cards often end up on PWCC, so maybe we'll see one of them there. Nate Flesher says he confesses the MJs are his. Nate, congratulations. Congratulations, especially if that's true. B. Cox, welcome to the show. Jacob Dahl, always here. Great to see you, Jacob. Scott Pope, hey, you guys share something in common. Adam, it's his favorite Thursday of the month as well. Michael Steinberg, welcome to the show. Phil is here, the Loud Collector. Check out his YouTube channel, The Loud Collector. If you like loud, Phil is your guy. Phil, looking forward to seeing you at the Toronto Expo next week. Jeff Hart, what is going on? Jason Newman, Vintage Card Collector, says the Barry Sanders PMG is the best card up tonight. Now, I have to admit, is it a PM? It's a PMG Gem Master. So that's not your typical PMG, Adam. We'll get to that. I want you to describe what that is exactly once you have a moment. Ryan Bitter says, with PSA decertifying cleaned cards, should we check all certifications before bidding? Can we expect PWCC to do that for us? First of all I've seen, Ryan, is that, and I don't even know if it's true, but I've seen that some of Kurt's cards were decertified. One order's worth of his cards. That's what I've heard. So, and I don't know if you can expect PWCC to go through all the cards and see if they're still certified or not. I think that's going to be probably, but I'm not speaking for them, but I would definitely do your own due diligence. Adam, any comments?
Yeah, one thing that's kind of interesting, at least while I was at PWCC full-time, every certification number got typed in before it went live. And occasionally one would get through for whatever reason. And in a lot of those cases, there's enough eyeballs on it that somebody who's in the process finds it along the way. There were a couple times where I was sort of researching a card and would find one and go, oh, look, this one's been decertified. As soon as they know it, they immediately remove it. So, there's a lot of eyeballs on it. That doesn't mean that it's impossible that someone would get through, but especially because look, they could do it one day and then it could be decertified as it, like, they don't have something that's constantly able to check it at every second. So always check on your own, but I think PWCC does as good a job of anybody of checking that, Ryan.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. And I think what's interesting is that it doesn't seem like PSA detected anything. It seems like they just went through the Kurt's order, and I could be wrong, but what my perception right now is that they went through their database. They saw, okay, what cards did Kurt submit? let's decertify his order. That's what I'm aware. So it's still, and so yeah, I even asked Kurt when I had him on the show last Saturday, I said to him, do you use your own name when you submit to PSA? And he said, yes. Well, if they can't detect it, which they can't, it seems like, then it almost makes sense that someone like Kurt or people that use his products, I mean, if you're using his product and they don't know that you're using his products, then you use your own name. But for someone like Kurt himself, I don't know what he'll do, but I mean, I would expect that now maybe you just don't submit them under your name because PSA can't seem to detect it anyway. So it's someone said it down here. Phil here says it happened today on the PSA website. Can of worms officially open. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see as that goes. I want to say hi to Frankie Gonzalez. Frankie, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you as always, guys. And if you are planning to bid on anything in the auction tonight, I'm going to put the Sports Cards Live affiliate code into the chat right now. And if you would be so kind and gracious to use that link before you place a bid tonight, that would be awesome. And it will let PWCC know that you guys are watching and enjoying this show. Let's say hello to Mr. Michael Hathaway. I call him the crystal ball. Michael, good to see you. And Teapot is in the house. What's going on? Tyler Nethercott, welcome to the show and congratulations on the official release of the Sports Card Investing and Collecting for Dummies book that you and the Sports Card and Jeff Wilson have put out there recently. Peep says, I lick all my cards. Peeps, that's going to keep them your cards forever then, for sure. All right, Adam, we're going to have the Cajun cardboard himself, Brian Dennison, joining us in about 15 minutes. But before that, why don't we start taking a look at the items in the auction? And here we go. Here we go. Adam, lots of great cards. Now, there are, I believe it's 97 cards in the auction. I did something because we don't have anything to say about Pokemon or Magic the Gathering. I have sort of excluded those from us talking about them because we don't know anything about them. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the sports cards. Adam, I got to ask you right away, this Black Shimmer 1/1 Victor Wembanyama, $150,000. Where does Black Shimmer, first off the line 1/1, fall in the hierarchy of 1/1s from Panini Prism products?
Man, that's such a good question. It's hard to know. It's obviously not first because the true black out of Prism is going to be number 1. After that, it's the Nebula in Prism. And then after that, it's really unclear because I've always said, the gold vinyl out of Optics is a really interesting card because it's like the modern superfractor, right? It's like the Tops. It's like what Tops used to make with the superfractor. And I think I would have said that was sort of more preferred, but some of those have been really priced not as highly as like some of the other Prism parallels. The question that I asked today on my Instagram, nobody responded to this. What would you rather have, the true gold out of 10 or this one out of 1? And I think that's a really pretty good question. I don't really know what the answer to that is. Some people are going to say, oh, it's the gold by far. Some people will say, oh, it's the 1/1 for sure. But I think that's one of those things that time will sort of tell on that.
So for me, I'm going to answer that question. But before I do, I want to take a closer look at the card. And yeah, like the aesthetic of the card doesn't do much for me from what I can see here. Yeah, I'm with Peeps here. Says gold. I would want the gold, Adam, because I just think I would enjoy looking at it more. It's gold. It's beautiful. Peeps says gold all day. Yeah, Ryan Bitter says I would rather the Black Shimmer. And I think I understand that. If you like rare cards, if rarity is more important than aesthetics to you, then I completely understand why people would want the 1/1. I mean, 1/1 is a status in and of itself, regardless of the color. So I completely understand that. We're at 150,000 pre-BP right now. So this is 180,000 out the door at the moment. It's a nice amount to see going towards this 1/1 Wembanyama. What do you think?
Well, I think I personally really like the aesthetic of the shimmer, but on this card, I don't really think too much about the aesthetic. The thing that makes this card so different for me, and when I say this card, I mean Wembanyama's Prism, is that, and this is well documented at this point. At this point, we have to believe that it's unlikely that any Wemby autographs will make it into NBA licensed products for his rookie year, because Fanatics it has the license in a couple of years, and Wemby's an exclusive. It puts us in this really weird spot where there's a chance that Wemby's Prism rookies are all of his best cards, right? And if that's the case, then it's really interesting, right? Like, we can think about what the Prism Shimmer, Black Shimmer, has meant for other players. It may mean something different for Wemby, and something that Nate just said. Nate's obviously a really smart guy. Nate Flesher in the chat. He just said, "Hey, it's a jersey color match. I think I'd probably take this over the gold." I don't know. I mean, I'm really a gold guy. Maybe my favorite card in my collection is a gold Prism card. So I don't know that I'm the right person to ask on this, but out of 1 out of 10, I'm going to go towards the 1, but the gold has that sort of from the beginning thing. That's where it lives, though, is in that sort of range, I think.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that all makes sense. Let's see what some other people are saying about it. Robert Sellers says the gold. Teapot is taking the Black Shimmer. Yeah. Nate says, yeah, I'm a gold guy, but for this card, I take the Black Shimmer because of the color match. Yeah. Zach says, this is the order: True Black, Nebula, True Gold, then Black Shimmer, then Black Gold. So Jason Newman would take the Shimmer. Sports Card 613 has joined the program, everybody. Justin Bode, good evening. Justin, welcome to the show, buddy. Cajun will be here in about 13 minutes now. And Zach says Prism, Logo Man, not auto. He will have 5, I believe, optic gold vinyl, green kaboom. So lots of rare cards for Wembanyama. That kind of goes without saying, right? There's going to be tons of Wemby cards coming out already.
In fact, there will be cards that will be created for him that will be different than anything we've ever seen before. And the reason for that the reason that I can say that I know that is that's what we've seen every time a major rookie has come back or come out. Ever since Shaquille O'Neal, how many products were created because of Shaquille O'Neal? How many products were created because of LeBron James? We will see Panini capitalize on this because they want to make money. They're a company, right? They want to make as many big time cards as they can. So here I am, sort of assuming that all of the key Wemby rookies will be out of Prism, but I really know in the back of my mind they may come out with some other things, and then it'll be up to the market to determine what's really the best. And none of us have any idea at this point what that's really going to mean.
Yeah, for sure. Exquisite was made because of LeBron. That's right. I mean, so you're completely right about that, and I think that's a pretty good insight actually for people to consider as they're shopping for Victor Wembanyama cards this year. Will says the gold shimmer. Sorry, he says gold shimmer is gimmicky to me. Color match narrows the gap between the two somewhat, I guess. Yeah, fair enough. Jason Newman, green kaboom may get up there one day if Panini stops making them. Fair. And Zach Swisher says impeccable noir are adding Logo Man for the first time ever, he believes. Okay, let's skip across this Michael Jordan PMG and let's look at this Connor McDavid card, which is an absolute beast of a card right here. This is a rookie year card. It's a RPA from Upper Deck Premier, a beautiful, beautiful set every year. It's got oil drop. It's got the tip of the oil drop. It is upside down, which is kind of silly, but it is there. That is the oil drop. This is basically the best part of the Oilers logo that you can expect to have on a patch. And thankfully, Upper Deck used it for a very important card. This is a 1-of-1, guys. This is the Blue Spectrum foil 1-of-1, 15,500 when his, RPAs out of 99 or out of 97, Exquisite or the Cup, are selling for well in excess of that. This seems to me right now like an absolute steal at 15,500, but it's not the Cup and it's not Exquisite, but it has all the attributes that those cards do, and it's a 1-of-1, and it's got the best patch, and it's an on-card auto. It's acetate. Really a beautiful, beautiful card, Adam. What do you think of this with the upside-down oil drop being, again, the best piece of patch you can expect?
Is the oil drop in the pocket? Is it centered?
The oil drop is centered. It's in the pocket.
Sorry, that joke was on the tip of my tongue the whole time for those of you who are longtime viewers. Look, I don't. Every time I see acetate with a beautiful autograph and some holofoil, it always does it for me. I think that serial number is in holofoil too, which is the classic Upper Deck thing, which honestly to me is so underrated. I just think it's a great aesthetic. I don't know enough about hockey and trust your thoughts on this. Although my city is getting a hockey team apparently, which is news to both of us as of the last week. But beautiful card. It's one of those that I would guess in hand is way better than on on a scan. Am I right about that?
Yeah, they are beautiful. They're definitely beautiful cards. The autograph's lighter in the middle
Yeah,
here. I couldn't tell
it
you
is.
why. It's darker on the outer right here, even on the outer left. But this middle portion, I don't know if it's if he was just didn't use enough pressure with the pen, or if it's faded. I have no idea why it's like that, or if it's just the image, which I don't think that's the case. But something to consider. It's still the 1 of 1 Premier RPA and a beauty at that. All right. We do have Mr. Cajun's in the back. He's early. Should we let him in early? What do you think, guys? Should we let the Cajun cardboard, Mr. Brian Dennison, for the Cajun curation? Should we bring him on, Adam?
I'm confident this is one of his 5 cards that we're hovering over right now.
It is. That's why I'm thinking, you know what? Give me the thumbs up if you're ready back there, Brian. We're gonna go to a couple comments first before we do. I just want to so Justin says to just grade that McDavid because it's just authentic. The autograph is graded. The card is authentic and the autograph doesn't seem to even be addressed there, but it's obviously an authentic autograph. Rennie and Ronnie wants to know, is it game used? Is the McDavid card game used? Let's have a look at that. That's a good question. I doubt it. I doubt it is. Ronnie Myers, I doubt it's game used, but let's just have a look at the back and zoom in on that and see what it says. Certified to having been used in a rookie photo shoot. Yeah, photo shoot. So it's from a photo shoot.
I get asked all the time if a certain card is game used that's a rookie. I still don't think the hobby generally understands what percentage of rookie cards are game used. Almost none, right? Like it's like you can name them. You could probably count them on two hands up until Flawless started doing it a few years ago. It just doesn't hardly ever happen.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's tougher and tougher for them to get that done. Michael Hathaway, just speaking to Zach, a little bit more information on the new logo men coming out. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, we got some cheers for Cajun right over there. All right, let's bring him on, everybody. Let's bring on Mr. Brian Dennison. You guys know him and love him. Cajun Cardboard. What's going on, Brian? How are you, buddy?
Have y'all literally sat on that 98 PMG and not spoken about it until I got on this channel? Shame on you if you waited that long for me. I must be it's a tremendous privilege.
We're just getting started. So it was a courtesy for you that we're doing it. I thought, it's one of the cards. I asked Brian to come with 5 or so cards that he could get, that he has some passion for. And he sent me the 5 and we got them ready to go. And Brian, I'm calling this the Cajun curation. You've curated in Cajun style these 5 cards. And so I think now's a good time for us to run through those 5. And Adam, as you would guess, and as everyone would guess, they're all basketball cards. So I'm going to ask you, Brian, to share your thoughts on these 5 cards. We'll go through them in the order you provided them to me, and we'll get Adam's comments and maybe some from me on all of them as well. I think that's the plan. So you ready?
Sure. Yeah. Go in whatever order you want. I did my best to send you not an exclusively Jordan list. You guys know I've kind of funneled my way into, a Jordan centric, pathway in the hobby, but I've tried to add a couple of other non-Jordan cards in there and resist that temptation to go Jordan only. Just to add a little variety, right? Just to have a little fun, a little Cajun spice to the show tonight.
Little Cajun spice and variety. I love it. The Cajun curation starts now, everybody. All right, Brian, we're going to start off with the 1998 Metal Universe Precious Metal Gems. This is numbered out of 50. It's a BGS 9. What is it? I mean, it's a great card. I think we all know that, but can you really articulate for us why it is so great?
Yeah. It's the only, PMG from 98. Of course, it's the 4th, I guess, PMG chronologically, right, Adam? So we've got the greens, the red from 97. You got the championship also from 97. And this is the only PMG from 98. I think a lot of times people call it the gold PMG. It is gold and it is a PMG, but I don't, you'll never see that. Well, I don't think you're going to see that on the label anywhere or in the pop reports. It's just the PMG from 98. It is, Adam, I think maybe the best image of any of the PMGs. And that's really saying something because the championship PMG is nasty, right? It is a beautiful card with the scope in the background coming out of the city, but this is special. And I feel bad for Mr. Martin there because, he's getting a very close look at Michael Jordan's nether regions on that dunk right there. And Jordan's wearing the Concord 11s. This is a serial number to 50 card. And Adam, I'm going to ask you, it's a pop 2. I'm going to ask you, is this the best 98 PMG in existence? There's an 8.5 PSA. There's 2 BGS 9s. And I don't know the subs on the other BGS 9, but I'm just kind of taking a step back and just kind of trying to do some calculating here. It's about as good as it gets.
I'm not great at knowing the difference between the different grades unless I've like really looked at each copy, and I haven't. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But for sure, like I've never been the guy who like really cares about the difference between the grades. So, but look, everything else that you said, Brian, I totally agree with. It's one of the 3 sets that ever produced PMGs with Jordan in it while he was playing. There's 200 total Jordan PMGs across all 3 sets. And you know, there's several of you guys who are like trying to get all of them. I'm happy with my one. I know I'll never get any others, but you know, it's not every day that you see the highest graded of the card hit auction. So it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. There's only 4, you know, real PMGs. You got your retro PMGs. There's only 4 original PMGs from Jordan playing years. This is one of them. It is serial number to 50. The last BGS 8 guys sold for 120,000. The last PSA 7, you got to go all the way back to 2022, and it sold for 192,000. I am going to go out on a limb and safely say this will be the highest selling 98 PMG in the history of the hobby. I think it's going over 200,000 tonight.
It's just beautiful too. I mean, if you're noticing, I'm playing with this rotatable image, and you can see how the light just bounces off this thing. You get some rainbow colors in there, but you get the shine of gold. Like, they did a great job back then in '98 producing this card. It's absolutely gorgeous. Really, really nice. Okay. Well, are we done with that one then, Brian?
I think we're done. There's not much else to say. You know, it's probably the cream of the crop. It'll be interesting to see this one versus the 86 Fleer PSA 10. I think if you hit the refresh button, they're going to be pretty dang close. You know, the PSA 10 is a pretty sharp copy as well. I'm not going to talk about the PSA 10 because we see those all the time, but it'll be interesting to watch those two do battle and do battle with that slender fella next to him in that black shimmer. I don't know, man. I'm not the person to ask about would you rather, but good Lord, that's a lot of money for an ultra modern player. But look, that dude is special, man. I talk about it all the time. He is special. If they give that kid 35 minutes next year, you're going to see some Wilt Chamberlain looking stuff.
Well, then the would you rather could change from now to then, because right now I'm taking the Jordan all day long. I'm not even thinking about it. It's not even a question for me. You're the same. Adam, which one are you taking?
I mean, I would love to have either one of them, but I don't have very many modern cards. I'd take the Jordan. You're
taking the Jordan too. Okay, let's move on to the next card in the Cajun curation here at the April PWCC Premier Auction. And we've got the 1986 Fleer sticker, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is a PSA 10. And Brian, I'm coming with a little bit of information on it. It's a pop 14 out of 3,785 total graded. That's a 0.37% gem rate, 1 in about 300 copies. That's what I got. I'll set the stage. Back over to you, Brian. Why is it so rare and so hard to gem this card?
Well, first, let me say, Adam's laughing because he knows, but I have a little tear in my eye because I used to own one of these Kareem 1986 Fleer PSA 10 stickers. And, you know, if you want to pull up the graph on Card Ladder or whatever your data pricing tool of choice is, you'll see this is a very precipitous peak. The PSA 10 is, I think now actually, Jeremy, it jumped to way up to a pop 15. So the card, should say the sticker once sold for $266,000, $250,000 for the Kareem PSA 10 sticker. Back when the 86 Fleer set went, you know, to mania, it just went nuts. And it was like every month the set was going up more and more and more, and all of the constituent cards inside of it. This is an interesting story here because the card rose, you know, super quickly over about a 2-year period, like a 2.5 year period from 17 grand to $266,000. Okay, that's nuts. And then the last 3 sales have come all the way down. I say all the way to 98,000. So just a little bit more than maybe a Ferrari or a really nice Mercedes SUV, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where this one lands tonight. What's it at right now? The last sale was 98,560 back in September. What is that? 7 months, 8 months ago, something like that? 7 months ago. It's at 65. You can do your quick, Canadian math. That's going to put us at about, 80 or something like that. So we'll see if this one stops the bleeding, I guess we'll say, and sort of levels off and plateaus. Right now, we're trying to find what that saturation point is. Here's why this card's important. The person who's buying this card, I don't want to, well, I'm going to go ahead and guess. It's not a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar super collector. It's not. It's a set collector that knows if you want the set, and when we say set, and we're talking about 1986 Fleer, you have to include the 11 stickers. The set is 143, not 132. So if you're going to kind of beat your chest and put it on the table and say, I've got the 86 Fleer set, you got to have the 11 stickers as well, whether it's in 10, 9, 8, or just raw or whatever. It's part of the set. So, we'll see. That's what this is about. This is the linchpin. That's what I've always called it. It's the one that, there's a lot of 142 out of 143 partial set owners out there. I can just tell you that right now. There's probably a lot of 141 out of 143 as well, because the Jordan, 57 is a pretty expensive card as well. So this is one that set collectors are going to be doing serious battle for tonight, Jeremy. I think it's going to push, well, there it goes again to 70. I think it's going to push maybe over 100 grand tonight. I think 98 is too low. And I know that's funny for a sticker, but if you want the set, you got to pay to play.
So you had said that I said it was pop 14. I checked like a few hours ago. You said it might be pop 15, but I just checked. So as far as I know, it's still 14. Can you just respond to that quick?
Yeah, I think it jumped to 15 maybe a year and a half ago. It was 14 forever. So when I was collecting the set and when I purchased the card, it was 14. It was 14 when I sold the card. And then shortly after when I sold it, which was, I can look on here, in May of 2022, I think another one was added to the pop report, and they made a really big deal about it. Look at it jumping right there. That's just me and my big mouth running this card up. PWCC owes me something, Jeremy. They got to give me some kind of perks.
It's getting bids as we're talking about it. Adam, you wanted to jump in. What do you got?
The thing that I think people don't understand, everything that Brian just said, I think is spot on. The thing that people don't understand is how much rarer it is compared to the very next PSA 10. Right? The very next PSA 10, I think, is Bird, and I think there's 40 of them, or 39, 41, something like that. That's just, those are worlds apart. 86, 87 Fleer is easily the most graded basketball set of all time. It's not even close. Like, nothing's even remotely close to it. And it's because there's a lot of people who want to put together these great sets. And Brian's exactly right. You have to have this card to get the best version of the set. And when you've only got 14 of them, or 15 or whatever there is in the population, maybe it was 15, and Jeremy said it's come back down to 14. Maybe
it said 14 today when I checked it on the PSA app. It said 14.
Maybe somebody cracked one, and then sometimes people, when they submit old labels to PSA will remove that. Maybe one was autographed or something like that. You never know. But there's such a small number compared to everything else. Johnny Moore, there's like 59, right? Everybody makes a big deal of Johnny Moore. There's 4 times as many Johnny Moores. It's not even close.
Yeah. So, okay. A couple of comments have come in here. First of all, Will says the left to right centering. He says, it's not a 10, but you have to keep in mind that PSA's standards for a 10 are 60-40 on the front. Yep. Now, if this is, it looks pretty close. I hear what Wills is saying here, guys. It is off-center to the left. It is not a perfectly centered card, but is it worse than 60-40 left to right on the front? I don't know, but it's like right on the cusp, I would say. But keep in mind, PSA's centering standards are quite loose, and I think they're looser than some other grading companies. Justin Bode says, it's a little bit off center, but yeah. And Peeps, it's an incredible picture of the legendary Skyhook on that card. I think I agree. It is an amazing photo with the arm fully extended, his eyes on the basket. It's a great, great picture. Michael Ham says that Jabbar is going to be a battle. Yep. Yes, it will be. A 90s hockey collector has joined the party. Welcome to the show, 90s All right, let's go to the next one, Cajun. We've got the 1996 Fleer Ultra Platinum Medallion Michael Jordan in a PSA 10 holder. Brian, talk about this card. I brought the same stats, but I'll defer to you this time.
Jeremy, I got so many stories about this card on my channel. I did a whole video on this card on my channel because as people in South Louisiana are prone to do, I made a mistake and I bought a fake copy of this card and went through the process.
Hey, welcome to the club. I also bought a fake copy of this exact card.
Did you really? Oh my gosh, Adam? No, not yet. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you get lucky. Well, to make a long story short, PSA handled the situation impeccably. I got all my money back with the PSA money back guarantee. So life is good. I own a PSA 7 copy of this card, which is like, comparing a used Honda Accord to a brand new Lamborghini. PSA 10 just takes it into very, very rarefied air, man. The highest price ever paid for this particular platinum medallion was $29,000 in Bubble City, right, in 2021. What's it at right now, Jeremy? What are we at?
We are sitting at 19,500 plus another just under $4,000. So just about 23, just under 23.5 right now.
It's a great card. I will be quite transparent. I haven't looked in great detail at the corners and edges to see if it matches a 10. I know it's a little bit older PSA label here. I try not to look at these beautiful things because sometimes I accidentally find myself clicking bid now if I do that, because I know that I need to upgrade my current, my personal platinum medallion 16. But this is a big boy card, man. It's it's a tier 1, tier 2 Jordan card, depending on who you ask. It's certainly a top 35 Michael Jordan insert or parallel. We'll just leave it at that. We'll safely say that it is one of Jordan's maybe best 30 to 35 inserts or parallels from his playing years, excluding one-of-ones, excluding autographs and all that stuff. And I think it's a great image. I love the script and I love the bedazzled nature of the font down there. You can always tell platinums because it's got that kind of, what do you call that, Adam? What do you call that texture inside that font?
It's almost like the shimmer on the
it is.
on the Prism cards. It's almost exactly like that, actually.
So the card itself in PSA 10, there's only 8 copies in a PSA 10 holder out of 67. Only 67 submissions of this card to PSA. There are 18 PSA 9s, which was the copy that I had a PSA 9 that I purchased online, several years ago. I had it in my PWCC vault. It was in the fixed price listings. Somebody reached out to PWCC and said, "Hey, I think that platinum medallion on your platform might be fake." PWCC reached out to me and said, "Hey, Jeremy, do you mind if we send it to PSA for a review? We think we have suspicion it might be a counterfeit." I said, "Well, of course not. Go ahead." And they did. PSA then did deem it to be fake, and I was reimbursed for around fair market value. There were no comps at the time, no recent comps. So we came to an agreement and I was paid out, and the card, that 9 came off the pop report and, destroyed. As far as I know, I never saw them destroyed, but I'm assuming that they destroyed the card. This card is prone to that. So, you have to make sure you're getting a good copy of this card. I don't know how to tell the difference, but it's a 12% gem rate on this card, which is, about standard, I would say, for these cards that were handled back then. Okay.
Jeremy, stuff. real quick. That's not serial numbered, so it makes it a little bit easier to fake and a little bit harder to spot the fake, right? Sometimes the serial number is kind of the telltale sign of whether a card is counterfeit or not. That one's not serial numbered. And by the way, just to kind of give the people watching a heads up, the last PSA 10 sold on January 3rd of this year. So what are we in? We're in April, even in Louisiana. That's 4 months ago. This card's already above that $22,211 sale if you include the buyer's premium. So it looks like this one's putting that last sale in the rearview mirror and going to push for the record, which is $29,000 back in 2021. We're seeing some 2021 prices on some Jordan stuff for sure. I can't speak for all cards, but I pay very close attention to them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this card way outsells the last comp because of what's been happening with PSA 10 Jordan. Less than 10 PSA 10s of this copy. That's kind of crazy, right? I could easily see there being a huge battle for this card tonight.
Yes.
But time will tell. Frankie Gonzalez says supposedly there are 250 of the platinum, but yes, they are not numbered. So impossible to know. But
is Frankie Gonzalez somebody we can really rely on, Jeremy? Is that guy kind of just like shooting from the hip? And he doesn't really know his stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he knows his stuff. He knows. Cajun's kidding. Frankie knows his stuff. Okay, yep. Brian, Adam, did you have any more to add on this one? Or are you ready to go to the next card?
Yeah, I'll just add just real quick. I had Brian's not gonna like this comment. I had the Kobe of this card, 9.5 out of Beckett, and there were 4 in the pop report at that point. And the reason that this is such a low pop, as soon as you get one in hand, you can see it. The edges full bleed, both on the front, but especially on the back. It is an impossible card. It's the sort of card that, as Frankie says, there's only 250 of. Even if you can get one of these in a low grade, you got to feel really great about it. But inspect your copy, and you'll find all the flaws in the world. And again, a 7 or an 8 on this card is actually a really legit grade.
I've got a 7 and a 6. In both all the edges, it looks like they've exploded. Like they're shredded. They're rough, man. Adam, you nailed it, man. The edges are really tough to maintain.
And this one isn't perfect. Like you can see some light white showing right here in the defender's underarm there. You know, it's not a perfect card, but the question is it a PSA 10? And that's what the hobby cares about. The hobby cares more about the grade than the card oftentimes. And in this case, it looks really good. Don't get me wrong.
It is really good. It's actually amazing. It's really nice.
It's not pristine though, I would say. And maybe that's why, but PSA doesn't have a pristine. So that makes sense. All right, Brian, on to the next card.
Yeah.
This is the D Wade 2003 Topps Chrome Gold Refractor rookie card, numbered to only 50 copies. And this is a beautiful card, Brian. It's same population on this as the Jordan Platinum Medallion. There's only 8 PSA 10s and only 16 submissions total. Why did you select this card, Brian? What excites you about this D Wade Gold Refractor rookie?
Well, a lot of people have these stories about the best cards they've ever pulled from a pack. Well, I'm old enough that I was ripping Topps Chrome packs in 2003, trying to pull Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and believe it or not, TJ Ford was really popular back then too. Adam, you'll remember that. And I got lucky enough to pull a black Dwayne Wade refractor, which is, again, not nearly on this level, but that black refractor was the best card I ever pulled. I thought it was beautiful. It was a color match. And so I've kept that card since 2003. It might be the card that I've owned the longest. This gold is serial numbered, I think it's to 50, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy? So serial numbered to 50. Like you said, it's a pop 8. The graph matches the Kareem chart, not in numbers, but in appearance. It rose to a filthy $115,000 exactly at the peak at the end of the first quarter of 2021, when a lot of cards set their all-time highs, and somebody timed the market perfect there. The card has retreated all the way down to 13,700 and 14,700 the last 2 sales. You can see by the price right now, not including the 20% buyer's premium, that the hobbyist said that's just too low. It's just too low. The card is more important than that. Dwayne Wade's more important than that. You're talking about one of the 5 greatest shooting guards that ever played NBA basketball. I don't think anybody can even argue that based on his paper resume. Dwayne Wade's a fun guy to talk about. I mean, if he was playing right now, we would be losing our mind. He's like a much bigger version of Donovan Mitchell. It's essentially what he is, except he's got rings on his finger,
Yeah, it's an important distinction right there. Adam, your thoughts on the card, please.
I just wonder which one of those 2 cards we just talked about each of you would rather have if you had a chance of both of them in front of you, because I think that's a pretty good question.
Well, I'll go first. Between the D Wade and the Michael Jordan. Now, this is interesting because I'll admit the Platinum Medallion, this card right here, I actually don't like the looks of it. I just think I don't like the full bleed image. I don't like the script that you got, that I know, Brian, you said you like personal preference. I owned a fake copy of it. That might have a bit to do with it.
Yeah.
But but it's a slight bias, only a slight bias there. I really just don't like the full bleed. I like but that said, I have no interest in collecting a Dwayne Wade card. Nothing against D Wade, but there's no nostalgia in that for me at all in Dwayne Wade. I got nostalgia for Michael Jordan. So in this case, I would take the player over the aesthetic. And I will often do that, right? I mean, oftentimes you're going to pick the players you want to collect versus a nice card of another player. So for me, I'm taking the Jordan. And just like Robert Sellers says, I'm taking the Jordan all day. Same as Warrior Kid. Warrior Kid saying the same thing. I'm taking the Jordan, Adam. What about you? We know what you're taking, Brian. You're taking the Jordan too, hands down.
Yeah, he wasn't asking me. He knows the answer.
Yeah, you already took it. Question. You've already took it. Adam, what about you? I can see Adam going either way on this. Which way are you going?
I'm gonna play contrarian. I like the idea that for Wade, you can make the case that outside of his ultra rare, like exquisite out of threes and cards like that, like it's his best card in existence. And so Brian just said it. He's not the first or the second best shooting guard of all time, but after that, he's really in the conversation. And so you're talking about maybe the best card of the third or fourth best shooting guard ever. I'm going to take that over what we're going to think of as like maybe Jordan's 30th best card from his playing days. And I love both cards. I thought it was a good question. So
let me make one more argument from an investor perspective, right? This is pure. I'm taking the Jordan because I collect Jordan, but from an investor perspective, we can probably agree LeBron James is more collected, more important, and had a better career than Dwayne Wade, right? No slight to Dwayne Wade, but LeBron's still cooking right now. The last LeBron gold 2003 Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10 sold for $900,000.
Right.
So I don't know how quickly you can divide 14 into 900,000, but it's a lot. You could buy all of the Dwayne Wade refractors, I'm pretty sure, if we kind of did some quick math. So you could buy every Dwayne Wade refractor in every grade for the price of one LeBron James PSA 10 gold refractor. That seems too low. And again, I'm not comparing apples and apples. I get it, but it shouldn't be 75 apples to one apple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
Let's do a quick, some comments quickly here. Mike Hathaway says D Wade is also an absolutely fantastic guy to interact with, chat, golf, and wine all day. Sometimes the post-playing days view is a big sway. Yeah, that can definitely sway you. You get to like somebody later on. Frankie would take the Wade and trade it for more MJs. Jeff Hart says, love the look of the Wade, but would take the Jordan. And Justin says Wade is probably a good dude to hang out with. Yeah, probably is a good dude to hang out with. All right, Cajun. Last card in the Cajun curation here in the April premiere is the 2012, the first year Panini Prism, Silver Prism, LeBron James. This is a PSA 2. It's a population 29. Only 29 of these Prisms reside in PSA 10 holders out of 95 total submissions. Seems really low to me. Only 95 submissions for a 30% gem rate. Brian, let's hear your thoughts on this card that you've curated for us here tonight.
Of all the cards that we've talked about, this one, I'm looking at the screen, it's a 7,500, is far and away the furthest behind what I thought it was going to sell for. Almost to the point where I might dabble. It's the last one sold for $17,250, almost exactly a year ago. This is a much bigger conversation for a much longer podcast, but LeBron cards are doing some interesting things right now. This card, I always say this on my channel, in 2012, Silver Prism meant something. It really did. And it's, noted by the 29 pop, less than 100 even graded. If you want to go compare that, go check out how many Zion Silver Prism PSA 10s there are. Go check out how many, even Tatum, if you want to go back to 2017, when the pop was much lower. But the print runs on silver, and there's been video after video on this, has exploded from one year to the next. 2012 Prism, first year Prism, first silver LeBron Prism card. There's only 29 of them out there. I'll be shocked if this card doesn't hit 15,000 easy. I sort of thought it would sell for more than the last one did, to be honest with you. I thought it might even push 20 grand. It looks like it needs some help. If this card goes for under 10 grand, somebody stole this thing.
Well, we'll see. We're at 9 right now with the buyer's premium. Still lots of time left. There's 10 minutes left in the first half hour of extended bidding right now. Adam, I know this is a set that you have some really good experience with. You've got a few golds from this set. I know you love it. I think, and to me, this is my favorite design of all Prism designs ever. And I know a lot of people like the 2013s. I like that set too. I like this one. I think just like in the Cup for hockey, they nailed the design the first year. You know, subsequent years are nice too, but the first year to me is still the nicest. Adam, what are your thoughts on this one? What do you want to share?
I love this card. The most I've ever bid on a card was a gold version of this card. It was a couple of months ago. Brian said everything though. He really did. He nailed it. The only things that I would add is if you were to make a list of the most iconic, recognizable, important, whatever word you want to use, LeBron cards, you're going to start with Exquisite and Chrome and Ultimate from his rookie year, probably tops. And then you've got the 08 Chrome. And then you probably got this. This is really the Miami Heat LeBron card. And being that it's the very first card, and Brian already said this, but it's the very first card from the brand that really like changed the hobby. Like it's a huge deal. And I've heard some people who are really smart talk about how there was a period where a lot of these were shilled or people tried to sort of increase the value in like a really manipulative way. There's only 180 of them in existence. And there's, like Brian said, less than 100 of them have been graded, and they just don't move at all anymore. And so I know there's one guy who has a lot of them. And so I love this card. I would, if there's one card in the auction that I was going to bid on, honestly, where it's at right now, this is probably the card.
Did you say there were only 180 of these cards, Adam? Where does that, I'm curious. I've never heard that. How do we know this?
So it's based on math from how often golds appear, and then taking that number of how often the golds appear, because the golds are numbered to 10, and then extrapolating that across how often the silvers come out against them. And so these come out about 18 times as often as a gold. And so it turns out it's between 175 and 185, but it's not a perfect number. You're right about that.
Brian, anything to add?
Again, I collect Jordan, but from an investor perspective, the price that card's at right now, there's no other basketball card in the auction right now that I would be more confident in a 5-year flip than that card that you're looking at right there. Once LeBron hangs it up, I think that's way more than a $9,000 card. I just do. I think it is special. A lot of people weren't collecting LeBron, and Adam definitely hit the nail on the head with the most important LeBron cards out there. But a lot of people, you got to remember, weren't collecting cards in 2003 that are collecting them quite heavily right now. So they may recognize the Prism more so than they recognize the stuff from his rookie year and the stuff from those Chrome years and the different parallels from Topps Chrome and Finest cards are very popular. So Prism, just the name resonates with a lot of people that are in the hobby now that maybe weren't in the hobby pre-2012.
I got it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But sorry, Adam. I do think though that the Topps brand will always have some cachet in basketball. Even if you just can't. It's kind of like we still like Leaf from the 40s in baseball, and we like Bowman's and Parker's in hockey. But I hear what you're saying. But I think I don't want to discount. I wouldn't discount the Topps cards from his earlier years. Adam, please, over to you.
I was just going to say, fun little narrative here. I think this is the card that I had my largest, from a multiple perspective, flip on. I bought a copy of this in 2017, I think, 2018 maybe, for $80. And it was a BGS 9. I bought it on ComC, and I sold it for $6,000. So I think it was about an 80x flip on this card. I think the reason that it just didn't sell for really anything for so long is there was this line of thinking that everything just had to be a rookie.
Exactly.
And even back in 2013, Brian, like people were trying to hoard Anthony Davis, and they were trying to hoard Kyrie Irving. No one was looking for the LeBron card. People didn't even think about it. It was like literally the base card was sitting in dollar boxes, and silvers were $20. They weren't that expensive. And then no one graded them. They sat in boxes, and so a lot of them got damaged, and thus there's only 29 10s. I just think it's got a great story.
Yeah, it does. Jeremy, you got time for one more?
Yeah, let's do one more, Brian. What are you thinking?
Real quick, go check on that Thrill Seekers Jordan PSA 10. See what that's at, because that one's got an interesting price trajectory all time. It's a Pop 18. It's got that lenticular surface. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere between 15 and 20,000, maybe 12 to 20,000. There it is. That's it. Oh, wow. Okay, so this one's going to break an all-time record tonight, probably. So the price chart on this one, this is a Pop 18 card. Really, really tough card. There's 2 years of Thrill Seekers. This is the rarer version of the 2 years. There's only been 122 ever graded by PSA. A very popular Jordan card. The last one that sold was a year ago, or it's about 6 months ago, and it set the all-time record, right? So ignore 2021, ignore bubbles, ignore COVID. The last one that sold set the all-time record, $20,740. This one looks to be on its way, and it might break that record. It's an interesting graph. If anybody could pull this up on their data pricing stuff and look at this graph, this is one of those rare graphs where you don't see a mountain and then it comes down and then it finds a new floor. No. We're still finding the peak of the mountain on this card. So I think this one might push over 20 grand, just like the last sale.
Well, we're at what's it at 19.2 right now with the buyer's premium, so it's only about a bit away. Can easily get there, Brian. All right. Well, listen, man, thank you for coming on and joining us for what I've dubbed the Cajun curation, and hopefully we'll have you back next month for another round of that. Brian, what do you say?
I'm good, Wharton. Just make sure you copyright that so nobody can steal it from you.
I'm gonna go get the website right now.
Yep, you got it. All right, boys, y'all have fun.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.
All right, Adam. Let's go to a few comments here, and then we're gonna make our way through more of the items. John NP3, welcome to the show. Glad you are here. Better late than never. I like this comment, Adam, from Justin. He says, my new house has better internet. He believes. I think it does. I'm much more confident with my internet connection here than I was in my last location, and that's why I'm opening up and challenging some of the bandwidth here, if you will. Justin says, if you hoard Anthony Davis, you're a champion in my book. The professor has joined us. Good evening. Professor Rage has joined us. What's up, Rage? Good to see you as always. And all right, let's do some scrolling here, Adam. We've got a box of 86 Fleer, 110,000 BBCE wrapped. This seems a little bit low to me, doesn't it? To you, 110. I thought these were doing like 150 plus. What do you know about that?
I think that's about right. To be honest though, Jeremy, I don't really know. I just know that, you don't see these very often. The thing that I know about this one, and I read this on our friend Ryan Tedmus's top 10 post that he did, is that this is not a Frankenstein box, which means it's not a compilation of other boxes. Because the old wax boxes didn't come with like a normal seal that we see today, a lot of times people will take boxes with sealed packs and sort of aggregate them together, and that's what we know as a Frankenstein box. This is a legit, from the beginning, like 36 pack box, and that I think averages about 3 Jordans per, which it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it's a nice and intact. And it's nice that it's in as it was released from the factory. This is the big card here, Adam. The 98 Metal Universe PMG Gem Master Barry Sanders won $130,000 as it sits right now. Now, Adam, I recognize, and actually we're going to open this one up for a moment because that's not what I wanted to do. We're going to open this one up here.
The regular version of this card. I know you do. We've talked about it.
Well, yeah. So, okay. I just want to go over here. You can look at this card and you can see it looks like the championship PMGs. It's got that same design, the same font. This is a really hard card to see, as you can all tell. But it's got the same design, but it's got this checkerboard, I don't know what you call it, overlay that I think makes it the Gem Master, which I really have never seen before. So please tell us about this card, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I've also never seen one in hand. And, you and I have been to enough shows and done enough things that doesn't happen very often. I can give you a lot of color on this card, but I can't tell you what it looks like in hand. I'll give you 3 or 4 things to think about real quick. I saw Frankie from Trove say that he thinks this is the best football card from the 90s. I thought about it for about 10 minutes and I agree with him. I think it's the best card, the best single football card that exists from the 90s. The reason why is we know what's happened with the Fleer precious metal cards over the course of the last several years. They're the most sought after. Only one, Jeremy, of the Barry Sanders from this set has moved in 3 years. It's a PSA 9. It moved here on PWCC, and it moved for almost 40 grand. And so, you look at this card and you say, like, this is a card this is not one of those. There aren't 50 of these. There's one of these. This is the best Barry Sanders card. At least it's the most valuable Barry Sanders card in the world. The other thing that I think is worth pointing out, you can't really see it here unless you look real carefully, but this is the one, Jeremy, that you and I have debated what we think about the lion being on the card. Because there's a big old lion. That's why he's sort of in an interesting place on the card. He doesn't take up very much of the card. It's because on the regular version, you can see this giant lion. Sorry, I'm talking about on the front of the card, Jeremy.
I know you are. You can't see it, so I'm not even going to try and. Okay. I'm just highlighting the 101 stamp right now while you're talking about the lion.
You can kind of see his face just a little bit, but point is, if you're looking at this card, pull up the base version, look at where the lion is, then look at this one. And then the other thing that I would add is comping a card like this or trying to figure out what it's worth is literally impossible. What you can do is you can look at the fact that there are both gem masters in basketball and in baseball, only for one set, and they don't parallel this set. This is what we would call the Fleer Metal Championship. It's not Metal Championship in football. It is in basketball, but that's the sort of format or design. That's what most people refer to it as, the Fleer Metal Championship. That's what the basketball set's called. The Gem Masters in basketball and baseball are both on the ones that we refer to as the PMG Golds. Like you were looking at the Jordan earlier, they both parallel that set. And so if I'm to say which of the three or which of the two sets I like better, it's this one, the Metal Championship look. And so last thing is that, you've seen in the last 3 years, you've seen 5 total cards across all 3 sports sell. That's it. Like in 3 years, 5 of them. And the cheapest one was a couple years ago. It was a random baseball player. But even the random basketball players right now, like last month, I forget what his name is, Danny Fortson. Danny Fortson last month sold for 13 grand. And so it's one of those things where it's like the one-of-one version of the rarest parallel. And you can guess what type of guys are going after these. I think, and this is just my opinion, and there's 2 huge basketball cards, this is the best card in this auction. I actually don't think it's close. I think the Barry Sanders is a way better card than both the Wembanyama and the Jordan. And I think those are, to me, pretty easily the 3 best cards in the auction.
Vintage has a question. He wants to know, Adam, if you know, did Spinatron own this Barry Sanders card before?
I don't know that. That's a good question. If he did, this is not the sort of card that I would imagine Spino moving.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that either. Okay, we got a 2003 Ultimate LeBron rookie auto, numbered out of 250, PSA 10. It's at $46,000. We talk about this card whenever it comes up, which is every so often on the Premier. We both love this card. You compare it to the SP Authentic, it's half the print run of the regular SPA, not the gold, of course. And really just a great card overall. I'm a big fan of Ultimate and SPA for that matter. Just want to get in and take a look at the autograph, which is really nice, slightly light at the beginning, but very nice outside of that. And overall, I would say it's a double 10 on the card and the auto. Now, Adam, this is a great row right here. What an amazing row of cards. 97, Essential Credentials, Future, Kobe Bryant out of 73, and a BGS 9.5 holder. Adam, you love Kobe. How important is this card amongst Kobe cards, in your opinion?
Well, it's from that 97 year where the parallels are so sought after, right? It was really like the PMG Championship, and then you get into the rubies and this. And so for a lot of people, it's one of the most important Kobe parallels ever made.
Yeah, I think it's a gorgeous. I love it. I have Shaq from this set. I love the Shaq, and I just love these cards. I love the colors. I love the die cut cardboard layered onto the acetate, the colored acetate. Just so cool. All right, we got a Michael Jordan Exquisite Noble nameplates, numbered 1 of 25. This is a auto patch, and I know what Adam's going to say. The first things Adam's going to say when he talks about this card is, the hollow foil around the window. He loves it. I love it. You guys all love it. I'm sure it's a BGS 8.5. The weak part of this card are the edges, which being so light, kind of like I don't even see anything wrong with it. This is an on-card auto, Adam, as well, right? It kind of looks like it might be a sticker the way it's got this frame around the auto, but it's actually an on-card auto. The auto grades out a 10. Beautiful card. What do you how do you like this card these days, Adam?
You said everything that I would have said. The only thing that I would add is you mentioned the edges. We've seen such problems with trimming, right? If there's one sub that I want to see low on a Beckett holder, I would like to see the edges. To me, and I'd love to pay for an 8.5 rather than a 9 or a 9.5. That's about as good as it gets with that patch. The question that I have for you and for everybody in the chat, and I think this is a fun one, is of those 3 cards in that row, and I know you're still going to talk about the Ruth, which one of those 3 would you choose? If you could just pick one, which one would you want to own in your collection?
Oh, okay. So okay. Great question. Guys in the chat, let's hear what you think. I also just want to say hello to everybody watching on X/Twitter. We got about 35 people on there right now, almost 100 on YouTube, and we've got people going in and out on Instagram. I can't keep track of that as well, but hello to everybody who's also watching on Instagram. Michael Steinberg is taking the Jordan already. Taking the Jordan. Adam, I'm going to go process of elimination. Kobe is out. He's the easy one to eliminate for me. And I do love that card. Don't get me wrong. But Warrior Kid takes the contrary view to me. It says, I'm taking the Kobe. The Jordan, I really like it. But this to me, this Babe Ruth is, it's like one of the most important cards in the history of sports cards. I love it. I own the same copy. I have it right here. Here's my SGC 5. Right. I pulled it out just because there was one there today. So I'll put it to you this way, Adam. I'm not trading this card for that Jordan. I'm not trading this card away for the Kobe either. So I'm going with the Babe Ruth. How about you?
I think this is a really tough question. I really do. I'm such a fan of playing days cards. So I'm tempted to rule Jordan out. I'm obsessed with playing days cards. I want that card to be from when that guy played. But Exquisite is such an important brand, and Jordan wasn't an active player when Exquisite came out. And this is a first-year Exquisite card. It's between the Kobe and the Jordan for me. I'd probably go the Jordan, but it's really tough for me.
I think, for me, it goes right to left. I'll go Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, then the Kobe. I do love that Jordan card as well. The only thing that throws me off is that it is just the design where the autograph is. It kind of looks like it's on a sticker, even though it isn't. And that's the only thing, and that's not so bad. That is not, but let's see what everyone else was saying. LGC has taken the Jordan. Frankie says, well, the Ruth, and again, trading for more MJs. Fair enough. Robert Scott's taking the Babe Ruth. Sean Guthrie's taking the Babe Ruth. Justin Bode is taking the Babe Ruth. Brendan Ryan says the Ruth, but it's not an easy choice. Michael Hathaway says, I'll take the Jordan, but if that Ruth was the 144, it would be that, which I believe is the batting pose. For me, this is my favorite of the 4 33 Gaudy Babe Ruths, evidenced by me owning one. Love you.
Why do you like the yellow more than the red? Isn't the red basically the same? Isn't it basically the same dance?
It is. I just think the yellow pops. I'm aesthetically, I love. It's always been the yellow for me ever since I knew these cards existed. But like Hathaway says, that would be my second choice. Where he's standing there on the mound, I guess, or on the I don't even know what he's doing. If he's about to pitch or bat, that's the one. That would be second for me. And it's close. I love that card as well. I've come very close to buying that card in the past.
I just love red on old cards, man. I just do. I would probably, I don't know what number it is. Michael probably does, but I like the red in the background personally. But the yellow is awesome. Yeah. And I wish I had that card too.
James Fertitta says hard to pass an MJ auto, but that's not just an MJ auto. It's more than an MJ auto. It's a first-year Exquisite auto patch. Really, for sure. Warrior Kid says if the Jordan was in his Wizards jersey, it wouldn't even be talked about. Yeah, that's pretty true. Pretty true, I would think. I mean, I collect some Jordan cards. I have no interest in the Wizards card. I only want, just like I collect Shaquille cards, I only want him in Lakers. I don't want him in anything else. And I wonder how many people want LeBron cards in Miami. Like, how many LeBron collectors want his cards in Miami? I think more than the Shaq collectors would want cards not in Lakers. What do you think?
So this is where, reasonable people can disagree and reasonable people can collect different things. I like cards that are from a player's career. And so if it's me and it's a Wizards card and it's from 02 or before, like 02 or 01, those are the 2 years where he's with the Wizards. Like, I love that. The problem is he only has a couple of auto patches from when he was a Wizard. So it actually, like, it would be a very highly sought after card. I have to disagree. People wouldn't talk about it as much, but like, it's still a 5-figure card. It's a big card if it existed. The problem is there is no exquisite in 02, right? There's like some lesser made sort of products. But if Jordan had more autograph patches that are higher quality as a Wizard, it would be those would be big deals.
Yeah, I guess, but I wouldn't want one. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't take it if you were giving me a great deal and I could go make money on it, sure. But for my collection, I don't think I'd be interested in it. I remember him as a Bull, and really only a Bull for me. So I would have zero interest in that card. But I could see, I understand the playing days argument. I don't personally collect that way or buy into it. I understand it, but I think it's really a way to set a boundary on things more than, because there's so many beautiful cards post playing days of so many players, right. And where there's so many ugly cards that came out in the 90s of these. There's beautiful ones too, don't get me wrong, but there's so many sort of ugly cards from the 90s that I would just not want to have to look at all the time, because I like looking at my cards and I want to enjoy what I'm looking at. So I would go post playing days.
Let me say one last thing on this. This is a great conversation. You and I could probably do a whole hour on this bit right here, and I suspect that we would have people on both sides of it. There was a question asked this week by MK Sports Cards, a good friend of ours, where he said there's this Kobe Logo Man Auto Ultimate card that's out there right now, and then he said, what would you rather have, or what do you think is a better card? This, which is from 2003 Ultimate Collection, or the PMG Green Jordan. Now, the Logo Man Auto of MJ is probably his best Logo Man Auto. It's his best single Logo Man Auto. It's the Logo Man Auto set. What would you rather have? And the voting was pretty split. It was like 45-55, and I can't even remember which side won. But his point was like, look, am I going to take the best Michael Jordan card from his playing days, or one of the best cards, or maybe the best card from his post-playing days? He's like, the playing days card has to matter. It has to be that. And as he said that, I felt myself say, yes, like, I agree with that line of thinking. I'm always going to care more about the canon of, like, this is the area in which they played. I'm going to care more about that. I'm not telling other people that that's what they have to do. Don't get me wrong. But I always think that the player's best card, if it's reasonable, like if they're close, it's got to come from their playing days. I just think it does. And so, yeah. But then I heard other people say that they disagreed with that and that they saw the other side. And so those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So yeah, and I don't agree. It's not that it's not about agreeing or disagreeing. My preference is not the same, because for me, yeah, you can have a great playing days card, and the PMG, first of all, I think the PMG red is a nicer card than the green. I'm not a huge fan of the PMG greens aesthetically. I'm a huge fan of their value. Hey, that's big value there. I'm a huge fan of the idea, the concept, and all that. But I think the red is a nicer card than the green. So I'll save myself $1 million or $2 million and buy the red anyway. Then I think about what we're actually talking about. We're talking about a Michael Jordan card. See, in his playing days, they didn't make Logo Man auto cards. So you couldn't have even got it. Your only chance to get a card like that is post playing days. And you're getting the Logo Man from the jersey that was on the court instead of green ink from some printer or green foil from some manufacturer. Like, to me, it's actually not even close the other way. 1 of 1 on card auto, game used Logo Man. I don't care when that card came out. And then I've heard there is the argument that, the card companies can just keep on making post-playing days cards. Sure, of course they can, and they will, but they're not all equal. So it's so nuanced that I think that there's more to it than just playing days, non-playing days. And I think you have to look at the elements of the card. It's like, why is this Michael Jordan first year exquisite card with the patch and the auto so much more desirable and worth so much more than, say, his base card from exquisite from that year that might be numbered out of 25 as well, because you've got these additional elements that add so much value.
Well, one small correction though. You said that he didn't have Logo Man autos from his playing days. He does. He has 3 of them, and they were made when he was a Wizard. And so for me,
yeah, I was thinking so my bad. Sorry. I was thinking the 90s and the Bulls, I guess, because the Wizards card, even it's from a Wizards jersey. Who wants that? I mean, it's not, did he win a champ? That's not where he was. That's not what he's known for, you know?
But because it's his first Logo Man auto, and because it's from his playing days, it's not worth as much as the Bulls one. Don't get me wrong. And it's not aesthetically as nice, but like, it's from his canon. It's from his while he was playing. And it was the first Logo Man auto. It's from the first Logo Man auto set ever made. To me, the historical significance of that being the first one and from his playing days, like, that really matters. And so it's not, I just wanted to say that because it's not that this ultimate one was his first one, and it's not that it's his only one. And by the way, as we talked about with the Fleer autographs earlier, there's a chance, Jeremy, that there could be more. They come down the line, and then we start thinking about it a little bit different. Whereas the green, there's 10, and that's his best playing days card, and that's kind of the end of the story on that.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But the difference is that Michael Jordan can sign 1 million autographs if he wants, but there's only a finite amount of game used Logo Men that have ever been worn by him, and how many of them will end up in cards, if any more ever are? Probably zero. Probably get into cards from here on in. Maybe, you know, if something crazy happens and cards overtake game used and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's interesting. And really, it's just preference, and it doesn't really matter what I prefer, what you prefer. It's what the buyers prefer. That's all that really matters. So what does everybody prefer for themselves? But let's see what everyone says. Zach says Logo Man auto is game used, beautiful on card auto, and a true 101. Turpin Force says Logo Man because it's game worn jersey. Frankie says I'll take the Logo Man hands down, but I value autos more than parallels and inserts. Nick Leach says I'm taking the Logo Man all day, every day. Zach says the Logo Man is game used plus on card auto. Can't beat that. I agree with that. Warrior says I'll take the Logo Man. Vintage. Zach says, with that said, in most other cases, I will always lean into playing days cards over post career. So that's the nuance, right? I'm going to take the Logo Man or a really nice auto patch over an insert or a parallel from the year from a playing days. But that's just me. Playing days, and maybe it's because I collect the most hockey, and so many great cards came out post playing days, and I love collecting them, and I think they're beautiful and they're nicer than playing days cards. So it just does not that. But the other thing, Adam, is that it's not all post playing days cards. Like I said, they're not all created equal. So you have to really hone in on which ones you think are going to be the most important over time and that you like the best.
Your point about there weren't Logo Men, generally speaking, there weren't Logo Men autos while he was playing is just a great point. And it goes along with that Frankie comment where he says, how come the playing days debate is basically around MJ in basketball, at least? The best cards in the 80s players are post-playing days. This is because when these guys were playing, and everybody knows this who's in the chat, these guys who were playing back in the 80s, most of them didn't extend into the later 90s when the technology really ramped up, both into serial number parallels and inserts, and then into the awesome game used. And so, like, if you look at a player like, and Frankie and I talked about this actually with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, I did this sort of poll where I said, okay, who's the most collected? I don't believe that Larry Bird or Magic Johnson's playing day stuff could be the most collected because they don't really have anything. They don't even get to PMGs. They barely got to refractors. So it's a really different conversation around that. And a guy like Magic Johnson, you could look at and say, well, I'd rather have a non-playing days card because he has some really great stuff that came out and exquisite. I totally get that. But Jordan's an interesting case. This is my answer to Frankie. Jordan's an interesting case because he gets into the late 90s and then he has those Wizards years. And then in between those two, you have things like the game jersey auto from 97, all the PMGs, all the Wizards stuff, the game jerseys and the autographs. And that, to me, creates this pocket of cards that existed from while he was playing that makes it a really tough question.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is. It's a great question that MK asked on his Instagram that day. It just, just really depends but MK, he's an interesting hobbyist because he has stated he will trade his whole collection for just the green Jordan PMG. That's a pretty interesting place to be. And I mean, he's got a, I mean, the guy goes broke every week until payday. I mean, he's constantly buying cards. So that's a big trade to make.
The green is probably, and this is just a guess by Adam, I think the green, even in today's market, even like one of the worst ones, is probably still at least $2.5, maybe $3 or $4 million. Like it's the basketball card, and we haven't seen it move even during the entire peak. I mean, it's the card. And Jeremy, I agree with you 1000% about aesthetics. It's not a conversation about aesthetics. It's about these Jordan collectors. I think Cajun would probably say the same thing. Would he trade his whole collection for a green? I'll bet he would. And I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. But when I said that I wouldn't to MK was like, yes, you would. I think you would. I had to think about it really hard. I don't think I would, but from a value perspective, like, I think the Jordan PMG green would blow away the Ultimate Collection Logo Man Auto from a value. I do. I don't actually think it's
It probably would because those 97 PMGs just have so much cachet attached to them. It probably would sell for more. But again, that's people making that decision, right? It's and it's not all the people, but it's definitely many of them. In any event, fun to play the Would You Rather game. Let's have a look at this row here, Adam. This 04 Exquisite Collection numbers pieces, Bill Russell auto patch, game used out of 6. Such a great card. Beautiful patch on this one. There might be a hint of green on the far right. I can't tell for sure. I'm going to take a look right now and see. Yeah, there is a hint of green right there in the edge. Not much, but there's some. Just a cool material on these. Only 6 copies made. And of course, it's a BGS 8.5. Really, really nice card. We got a Shaq talking about Logo Man. Here's a Logo Man Relic Shaq 1 of 1 from Topps Echelon. That is a sticker auto there. Adam, talk about these two, then I'll say a few words about the McDavid.
The Russell's the second best autograph patch Russell in the world. The only one that I would suggest is better is from 03. I believe the patch, you can notice that little bit of different color. I think it's from a warm-up. If you do some diligence on that, I think you'll probably find that. The Shaq's interesting because most of the Shaq Logo Men are locked up in the same collection. I don't know if this is from that same one. You can see the autograph's faded. It's on a sticker, but it's a Shaq Logo Man. And so it's probably like the Shaq Logo Man auto that's from the least known set. Echelon was Topps's sort of like, we're going to try to compete with Exquisite. Like they made this thicker stock and made all the cards numbered and like had some super high end stuff, but then they made all the autographs on stickers and sort of did some things that were very unexquisite. I love the card though, because you talk about like playing days and cards that are rare, that are game used. Shaq has almost nothing, Jeremy. He really does. He doesn't have a lot. He's got some stuff that's in Topps, but especially like Logo Man autos, this is a rare deal. I know aesthetically it's not the best card. I know that sticker's an eyesore and the autograph's faded, but like I was really interested to see what that one does tonight, because there's so many big Shaq collectors, and although it has those things going against it, it is a Logo Man auto of Shaq, and that doesn't come around very often. Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and I think it's sort of similar to the PMG green. You might not love the looks of it, but everybody seems to want it. This is, and don't get me wrong, the PMG greens are still beautiful cards. I like the red better, but that I'm not taking anything. I really like the red. I'm not taking anything away from the green, but yeah, this is not the prettiest card out there. There's no real color coordination here, but it's like you said, it comes with a game used Logo Man. Like that right there, that gets you close to the game. That gets you closer to the game than a card with that doesn't have an autograph or any memorabilia on it. So cool card. Now this is an interesting card here. This is the 2015 The Cup McDavid rookie year, but it's the tribute patch auto to 05, to the 05 year, the Sidney Crosby year. It's only out of 10.
His true RPAs out of 99 looks different. It looks like the 2015 RPAs. Those are going to sell for probably 3 times what this one is at right now. And this is rarer. I think it looks better. I love the 05 design, but it's not a true rookie card. It's from an insert set into the cup, but it's got a great 3-color patch, on-card auto, 10 copies. I love, and I collect these tributes, not of the rookies. There's, not of Connor McDavid. It's 22, 26, 4 right now out the door, but I do love these cards. I've got about 4 or 5 of them in my collection of veterans and absolutely love them. And if I had, $25K to throw around right now, this card I would probably take right now. If we were to throw this card into this row up here, Adam, where we played the game, it'd be tough between the McDavid. I might take the McDavid, but
hockey guy. So the question on the McDavid, you said this on the Jordan, maybe what I'm going to say. The Jordan autograph looks like it's on a sticker, but it isn't. Is that the same case for the McDavid?
Yeah, this was the design of these this year. And yeah, there's no sticker here, but yeah, it does have a space that they could have put a sticker in there. The difference with the Jordan is that it's like, I don't know, it sticks out even more to me, but I definitely see how you could, I guess maybe I'm so familiar with this card. I mean, I've been collecting these cards for almost 20 years.
It's 100% the same thing. I never thought that it looked like it was on a sticker till you and I, in our very early days of doing the show, we're going back almost 3 years now, Jeremy, you asked me the question and I was like, well, no, it's 03 Exquisite. Of course it doesn't. And then I went, Adam, this is you get like you remember this. You were there. You were opening it. You were too, I know, but like I just know that stuff and you just know this stuff. I saw that and I thought, I'll bet it isn't, but I better ask Jeremy just in case.
It's a great card, 26,000 out the door or so right now. I mean, yeah, that's a great card in my opinion. Let's see what we missed up here. We got a couple Jordan stickers. One is autographed, one isn't. The PSA 10 with above average eye appeal, which we got to take a look and just see how the centering comes in on this one to give it the eye. So to me, this does look off-centered to the right a little bit, not much, but I do notice some off-centeredness. I haven't seen enough of them to agree or disagree with the eye appeal assessment, but it's definitely not a perfect, it's not a pristine card, I would say, but it's still it's in that PSA 10 holder, which is extremely important. We got a case of SP Authentic Golf from 2001. Ooh. This could house the Tiger Woods card. There's one in the auction actually, which is at more than earlier today. It was like $22K. And this case unopened is at $13,500. There could be one of those in here. I just don't know. I also want to point out this McDavid, also the SP Authentic Future Watch Auto Patch, really important card, numbered out of 100. So this is at $16,500. It's out of 100. Meanwhile, this one is at 20. So it's more. This is 10 times as rare, and it's only going for 50% more right now. This to me is a huge card, especially when you see a comparable like this is at $16,500, which is over 19 with buyer's premium. So pretty interesting stuff right there. Continuing along, Adam, Kobe Topps Chrome Refractor, PSA 8.5 at $77.50. The Nike Promo MJ in a PSA 10 is at $92.50. Lots of discussion recently I've seen about what is, and this discussion is ongoing. What's the true MJ rookie? Is it the 86 Fleer on my shirt here? Is it the Star 101 from 84? A lot of people say it's neither. It's the 85 Nike Promo, which it can't be if the Star isn't, because it didn't come out of a pack either. So but I'm in the Star 101 camp, by the way. That's where I've landed after lots of back and forth and debate. Adam, any comments on these before we continue scrolling?
Nope. Love all 3 cards. No comments.
All right. We've got 2 dual auto basketball cards. We've got Jordan with Kobe, and we've got Jordan with LeBron. This is SP Signature Edition. This is Ultimate Collection. These are on-card autos. Adam, these are on-card as well, I believe? They are.
Yeah. There were a couple of brands, this and Black Diamond, where they used like the gold foil to have the signatures. And these cards have really wreaked havoc on people trying to scan them over the years. You can see PWCC does a great job. You can see the autograph, but in general, it's really tough to scan these and get them to look good. They definitely look better in hand, but for that reason, I'm not the biggest fan of the autograph on the foil. I'd rather have like the Ultimate Collection that's next to it with the LeBron. I'd rather have the card look like that. With that said, you've got exactly what a lot of people want here. You've got the two greatest shooting guards of all time on the same card, both with perfect, very long, beautiful autographs. It's a great card, but aesthetically, give me the LeBron Jordan all day.
And look how nice they look at this angle. Like, you know, they're not so nice. They're awesome. Like, look at that. The way the blue ink just really does stand off the foil, but then you go flat and it almost looks like it's hard to see it. So these rotatable images are really important for a card like this, where you can see, like, look right there, like that looks really good to me. But when you look at it over here, you're like, I can't even see those autos, but you actually can. But to me, this one all day long, just like you, Adam, all day long. Design, overall ability to see the autographs. Yeah, beautiful. A pair of beautiful cards, really, I must say.
I love 05 Ultimate because this was one of the times where a company sort of made cards across sport that all looked like each other. Like 05 Ultimate in football, and I think in hockey and basketball, they all just look the same. And I like it when that happens. Like we were talking about with the precious metal championships earlier, like they all sort of have the same sort of design to them. You see that and you know you're looking at 05 Ultimate. Just a great set.
Yeah. I agree. I love that consistency between those sets. Let's do a few comments that have been coming in. I'm a bit behind, but let's Justin says PWCC does a great job on the pictures. I only use PWCC for my buys. I use Jeremy's code, by the way. Thank you, Justin. Really appreciate it. If anyone is bidding, the affiliate code is in the video description, and greatly appreciate if you would use it. Doesn't cost you anything. Throws a few bucks my way. And it's a small commission, I'll tell you, but the more important thing is that PWCC has evidence that you guys are enjoying this and watching the show. So very grateful if you do decide to use it, if you are bidding. A couple comments on the McDavid, where I threw that in. Justin, shame for being Justin, you know, I'm a hockey guy. For sure. Zach says, wow, the McDavid over the MJ patch auto or Gaudy Babe Ruth. Serious hockey love, Jeremy. Well, yeah, I love that card. What can I say?
Zach loves basketball. He is a basketball guy, and he loves MJ too. So
yeah,
that hurt his heart, I think.
He gets it. Dave says Upper Deck needs to stop with the throwback and tribute rookies. They need new designs, new ideas. I'm not against that right there. Warrior says I picked the McDavid as well, but you're an Oiler fan. That makes sense. Michael Hathaway says wild that the signed Jordan sticker, and it's a great auto to boot, is half the price of a PSA 10.
Well,
yeah, signed the 86 rookie, their 86 sticker.
So I saw that too, and I thought the same thing, but like the pop on the sticker is really low. It's like 120. You compare that to the rookie, like we're talking about 40%. There's 40% as many PSA 10 stickers as there are of the rookie. Like that's a big card, man. That is a really big card. I get Michael's initial sort of thought there, but I personally give me the PSA, and I'm not even a PSA 10 guy. Give me the PSA 10 over the what was it, 6.5 with the auto personally every day.
Yeah, I don't know. That PSA 10 it's not a good enough PSA 10 for me. So I'm not taking it just because of the PSA 10. And maybe that's, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say, but yeah, you know, you really got to look at the cards these days because the grades can just be wildly inconsistent at times. Warrior Kid says, I'm with you. Star 101 is the true rookie. I definitely go with that. And Jay Tillman lets us know that the Wemby 101 is up to 185K, and that's it right there. Yes, it is. Add 36 or so, 37 to that, Jay. We're closing in on 220 now on this card right here. So some big dollars right there. Justin Bowe told his girlfriend it's the Premier Auction. Leave me alone. Smart man, Justin. Or maybe not so smart. Maybe not so smart.
Tread carefully, Justin. Tread carefully.
The Jordan auto patch is up to 50. The Kobe essential credentials is up to 36. We got a McDavid exquisite RPA up to $24,000, numbered out of 97. An awesome, Michael. We've seen these before. The Sign of the Times die cut Jordan, gorgeous bright blue auto, up to 46,000. A 1921 exquisite or exhibits Babe Ruth just got a bid up to 12,250. An exceptional eye appeal condition. That is the top 15%. We got a PSA 10 O-Pee-Chee Mario Lemieux rookie. It's at 22.5. These are doing 40 to 50K. A couple, even like pre-pandemic, I believe they were up there. I don't know what this will do, but this seems to be quite reasonable to me right now. We got a 1-of-1 Shohei here. A Topps WBC nameplate gold foil flag at 14,500. Here's the PSA 10. Here's the sticker. Here's the sticker without the auto, 50K. Here's the sticker with the auto, half price. This is what Frankie was talking about. And to me, guys, a lot of this 50,000 is based on the PSA 10, not the card itself, because the card, it's not a perfect 10. But maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe people just want the grade. But I'm surprised too, Frankie. I'm surprised too by that. We got the Shaq Logo Man up 5,500. That's, I mean, for a Logo Man, cheap, but the card isn't that beautiful. 22,250 on McDavid here. 15,000 on the Russell nameplate or Noble Numbers card right there. Number pieces, I should say. Continuing along here, we've seen these autos. We've got the Austin Matthews Cup RPA, 5,750. That's cheap. He had a 69 goal season this year, most in like 30 years or something like that. Pretty crazy. And the 51 Bowman Mickey Mantle in a PSA 5.5. Beautiful card. One of my favorites. I'm a proud owner of a copy, and I absolutely love it. Jay Tillman lets us know, bidding war on the Wemby. He wants to see the Manning Shield. Let's find that Manning Shield, because that is a great card. Where is that one? Here it is. Adam, this card, this to me, like when I shared your story post today, if you notice, I shared it from this card, because to me, this is one of my favorite cards in the auction. Peyton Manning, top 5 quarterback of all time. Gorgeous 1-of-1 on card auto game use shield from Exquisite. Like, is this, I guess I don't understand the football market that well, or maybe the football market isn't as passionate about their all-time greats as basketball and baseball and hockey collectors are, but this seems low to me. Do you have any thoughts on this card?
Well, not necessarily on the price, but one thing that occurred to me earlier as we were talking about the Jordan stuff and a really good debate. I loved that. And by the way, the chat was awesome on that. The chat's been awesome the whole night. Thank you guys so much. But when people are like sort of climbing the mountain in their collection, and they're trying to figure out like what the best card is that they can get of their guy, a Playing Days Logo Man auto, a Playing Days Shield auto, like numbered 1-of-1 with an on-card auto, like that's about as good as it gets. It's either that or like some big-time rookie, or like if they have like a PMG green or one of those really key parallels. For Manning, I'm not sure there's a card you'd rather have, right? Like there's certainly a couple cards from his rookie year where you go, no, I need that card, that 1-of-1, right? But outside of that, it's Playing Days. It's from the brand of the era. It's got this gorgeous holofoil around it. It's obviously got the shield and the 1-of-1. It's from the brand. And the thing that I pointed out in my post today, I love that 1-of-1 that's in holofoil, Jeremy. I think it's such a nice touch to the card. As far as Peyton Mannings go, I can't think of another Manning outside of 1 or 2 cards from his rookie year, his rookie Gem Masters, or his Essential Credentials Future. Those are probably the 2 cards I'd take over this. But outside of that, this is the Manning card.
And it's interesting because that's a similar thought to what we were talking about with Jordan earlier. Neither of those cards have an auto or a patch, never mind the NFL Shield, and this one has both. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, the way the hobby rolls for sure. Okay, let's go. I want to scroll up and have a look at the Wemby for a moment, though. It's at $250 now, $300,000 out the door, you guys. Jay Tillman says 195 here, and that's 4 minutes ago. Then he says 200K. That's 3 minutes ago. Now it's 250 plus BP. wow, that card is on the move, you guys.
This card was, I just want to jump in real quick. This card was always going to have a massive bidding war. It was always going to be a huge price. I had several people ask me, like, what do you think this is going to do? What's it going to do? Like, the thing that I kept going back to is we're under the assumption right now that all of his best cards will be from Prism. So you've got the black, the true black, which is $1 million plus card. I really do believe that. I think at auction right now it'd be over $1 million. And then you've got like a conversation about what's next. You know, probably the Nebula, and then this and the gold. Like, there's just not that many things to choose from. And if you think he's going to be an all-timer, if you could go back to LeBron James's rookie year and there were a few key one-of-ones, would you pay this much for it? Yes. Like, in a heartbeat, you would. And so now, do we know he's going to stay healthy? Do we know he's going to be like one of the all-time greats? Do we know that he's not going to have other really key cards? We don't, but this was always going to do a huge number. So I don't know about you, Jeremy. I'm not super surprised at where it's at right now.
I'm surprised at $250,000 or $300,000. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised that it's selling for so much money. It's you know, he's the hottest thing to come into basketball since Zion, but hasn't been hurt yet.
If a gold Jokic rookie went up right now, what do you think it would sell for?
Well, Jokic doesn't get that hobby love, it seems.
But we haven't seen one in forever. I think it's 150 to 200. I think it's 150 grand. Like, it's,
yeah, probably.
You know, I mean, this is, and you would say, well, what are the odds that Wemby's going to be as good as Jokic? Because Jokic is going to win his third or his fourth MVP this year. But like, this guy is the hype. He's the first. Like, he is the most interesting rookie from like a dominance perspective that I can remember since Shaq. I mean, he really is. Like, he's probably not going to have the great career that LeBron's had. He's probably, I mean, you can't sort of foresee that, but this guy could be like the story for the next decade in the NBA. And he's not going to have that many key cards because, again, he's a Fanatics exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I do like the player. I do like him as a player. I like his frame. He's so Wilt-like. Bit of Kareem, look, even resembles Kareem a little bit, like these tall 7.5 footers that can shoot and have athleticism. I mean, the guy's kind of got it all, right, in that way. And he's young. He's got time. He could become a top 10 all-time player. He could become a top 5 all-time. Maybe. Time will tell. Let's go back all the way back down, though. There's so many cards we haven't even seen yet. We got 3 of them right here. There. Speaking of PMG greens, there's the Keith Van Horn. Far from a pretty card, but very important to the set collectors and of course the Keith Van Horn PMG collectors. This Griffey here, one of my favorite cards, another card that I own a copy of that I have right here. I've got mine's a BGS 9. This one here is a BGS 8 that's for sale tonight, and I love it. To me, it's like one of my just such a beautiful card. It's the Rubies from 1998, numbered out of 50. I want to even just take a quick look at this to see what the condition is like, because corners, surface are 8s, centering 9.5, edges 8.5. So corners and surface, it's going to be hard to tell on the surface, but the corners, the front corners look, I don't see anything wrong with the front corners on this card, but of course I'm looking in 2D. It is hard to see. Surface, I'm not sure if that's a little blemish right there. But what a pretty card, and so pretty in hand, you guys.
This is a great card for the 360 view, Jeremy.
Let's do it then. Let's do that, Adam. Let's do that. Let's open it up. Where'd it go? Okay, I'm just going to close up some of these now. Yeah, I mean, I can do the, look at that. Look, this is why I love this card. Look at this. Look at that. Oh, and the red foil, the ruby foil on the blue background, the blue, the sleeves and the helmet. Like, look at this thing. This is a card that I have my bookshelves over here, and I've got a row of cards on one of my shelves over there. And this card sits there. I look at it every day, and I just sit there and go kind of back and forth in the light because I just love it. I'll show you. I'll just put the spotlight on it for a second just to show you what it is, what a copy this is like in hand. It's in the Beckett holders are often foggy, so it's tougher to see, and I got a sleeve around it, but it actually looks better on the PWCC website right now than it does in my hand when I do this.
I've had conversations with people recently about like just the aesthetics of the 90s. And I know that it's one of those things that's overplayed. I generally don't like it when people go on and on about how good looking something is in hand, but that's seeing that 360 view right there, like the way that thing moves, the movement in the background of the card, sort of the way that it refracts in layers like that. And then you point out the red foil, the great image of Griffey, and then you add to it that there's 50 of them in existence, or the 50 of them were printed, and there's nowhere near 50 of them that exist today. Like, it's just such an interesting card, man. I love anything from that era, but I love the movement that a lot of the stuff from that era shows you in the background when you tilt it side to side. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, just amazing. So we're at 10,012 out the door on the Griffey right now. We got the dual auto, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders passing the torch. Really important cards right there. Great card as well. We've got the Kevin Garnett patch auto out of 21 from 1999, sitting at $4,400. We've got the luminescent, the triumvirate luminescent Michael Jordan BGS 10 pristine pop 3. These are complicated cards, Adam. There's like 3 different versions of them. I think this is the best of the 3 versions. I'm not 100%. Do you know?
Yeah. So there are 3 different versions, and there are 2 different sets. There's both the Series 1 and the Series 2, and it's complicated as to how to talk about them because they actually are a little bit different from Series 1 to Series 2. But what you need to know that's easy to remember is that the Illuminator is the rarest, and both Illuminators have a component of the card that's see-through, both Series 1 and Series 2. So this is the second best version from Series 1, but I would argue that it's the best looking. The Series 1s do not refract. The Series 1 Illuminators do not refract. This one does, I believe. If you look at the 360, you'll see that. It fits together with both Pippen and Rodman. It's probably the set that you can find that's like coolest from an aesthetic perspective and rarest, but still has like a lower value. And the reason why is it's confusing, right? Like, not many people want to take the time to understand the whole thing. And frankly, Jeremy, Beckett and PSA have never messed up on a set worse than they've messed up on this one. They get it wrong more often than they get it right. At least historically they have, I should say.
Yeah.
A good percentage of the time they've gotten it wrong.
I have a feeling that they've fixed that by now with, with Nat at the helm now and his interest in this stuff. I have a feeling they've got that one figured out. Vintage Card Collector said, I'm bullish on football cards compared to basketball. TV rating for NFL are 10x the NBA. Eventually, it has to translate to demand for cards. Interesting comment. Thank you for sharing, Vintage. And I mean, it's hard to argue that logic, but we'll see what happens. The time will tell. Will says there is so much risk with that Wembanyama card. I don't see a good risk reward here. Fair. Warrior says definitely 6 figures for a Jokic, 100 to 200K. Dave H says at 7'4", I'd be worried about Wemby messing up an ankle or snapping one of his twigs. Well, I mean, look at Kareem. I don't know how tall Kareem or Wilt were, but I got to think they were both right around that 7'2" to 7'4" range. So maybe if not an inch taller.
It's always a risk. It's always a risk. And you could say that comment for just about any new player, and it's a valid concern, but that's what some people like, right? There's something to be said. I think you'll agree with me on this, Jeremy. There's something to be said for acquiring a card of a player early on and being along for the ride, like having some really cool piece and then being able to watch that player as they move through their career and having that part of them. And again, if this is maybe one of the best 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 Wembanyama cards in existence, you get one shot on some of those cards. That's a line that we've used a lot over the last few years that's proven to not be true, but sometimes it is. Like, sometimes it's true. Sometimes the card moves and you don't ever see it again. So is he going to be the greatest? Is he going to get hurt? Are there going to be other great cards that come out? Are there not? There's some reasons to believe that there might not be like a greater card than that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think all of us are going to just sort of wait and see.
There's definitely risk. That's what it comes down to. There's risk with any sport, with any player in any sport. Well, any contact sport, there's always risk. So yeah, I do agree with you there. Will says that Van Horn card is proof that aliens do exist. He's talking about this one right over here, guys. He's talking about that one right over there. Funny comment, Wills. And Michael Hathaway, who must have left us, secured some auction wins, calling it a night. Thanks as always for the education and entertainment. Best duo in the game. Thank you, Mr. Michael Hathaway. Your comments and your presence is always appreciated.
I got to talk about the Van Horn real quick, because this is a guy who was the number 2 overall pick the same year that Tim Duncan was drafted out of the University of Utah, had a really good NBA career, had several seasons in the 20-point per game range, and actually has several large collectors, like guys who love his stuff. So this is a rookie as well as being a PMG green. I don't know that helps it or not, but I mean, I don't think it can hurt. It's definitely like his big card. But if you were to make a list of the best rookies from 97, you're going to go Duncan, McGrady, Billups, Van Horn, probably. Like that's the list. It's a pretty big card, actually.
All right. Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's good to know. I appreciate you calling us back to that, because I didn't know that he had a strong collector base. So that's interesting to hear. It really is. Okay, let's go back down. Let's try and cover some more items. The clock resets to 1 minute, guys. So if a minute goes by without a bid, the whole auction will end. If a minute goes by without a bid on any card, the whole auction will end. Adam, are you laughing at a comment or so? Oh, you're laughing at a comment. Yeah.
As soon as David Ratliff is in the house, it just makes me happy. I told him last time that he is required to be here for every time we do a premiere show from now on, and it took him like 2 hours to get here. So I'm mad. I'm mad at David right now. It took him too long.
Should I can like put him in a timeout. I can ban him altogether. Should we enforce some discipline upon Mr. Signed and Slapped?
No, he's here. We don't want him to leave. We don't want him to leave. I love it when our guys in the chat, I love it when they tell us what they think. I love it when they tell us when they think we're wrong. It's my favorite. I love it. And he's great.
He's having fun. He's having fun there. Okay. Couple more comments. Well, one really important comment. Turpin Forcer here says Wemby will bulk up this summer. Look how Giannis looked when he came in. He was bony. Now he's got a lot of muscle on him. I was thinking that earlier. Turpin Forcer, we're thinking on the same level, because I was thinking he's still young. He's going to bulk up. He's going to get stronger. He's going to hit the gym. So listen, there's still risk, but I like Wemby. I like him in the league. I like him as a player for sure. Okay. Let's see what we got here. A couple of beautiful flawless cards. We got this is a Nowitzki logo man, 1 of 1, gorgeous card. I kind of wish he signed it in blue though.
Yeah.
But outside of that, beautiful, like full body shot, nice clean card, gorgeous blue hollow foil. The auto's pretty nice. The auto actually, look at that. He actually got his autograph on the logo man. What do you think of that, Adam?
It's not ideal. You can see it, which makes it better. And his autograph is just, it's one of the sickest autographs around. But I don't think it's ideal. I do want to call out the black thing. Black is not ideal. Panini's one of their major gaffes they've made through the years is this year. Basically, everything was signed in black. And as soon as we noted that they were doing that, we were all kind of like, man, this sucks. You guys need to change. They basically did it for 1 year and then they went back to the blue. But like the other thing that I'll just say, because we've now focused on the negatives, which we tend to do sometimes, but like that card, Jeremy, like there is not much nicer in the hobby than a flawless logo man auto. Like that card just gives me just like I love, and this is another one for the 360. Like you just got to do this one in the 360 to see the Hall.
You put this beside the Shack, it's not even close. You're like Beauty and the Beast, right? Like it's completely different. But I also want to highlight the Steph here. This Steph is an absolutely stunning card and a great patch, nice full body shot. He's about to pass the ball, 8 of 10, beautiful autograph, flawless for the win, you guys. Flawless for the win, in my opinion. Let's see if we can have a look at some more cards here, though. We've got a Jordan Love, 1 of 1 black finite. We got a Larry Doby 48 Leaf PSA 7. I mean, we've been hearing a lot about him the last few days after Jackie Robinson days. At least I've been hearing a lot about Larry Doby. recently, just even on local radio. It's been really interesting stuff. Sorry, Adam, I think you wanted to get something in there.
I hate to ask, can you please look at the Dirk and the 360 real quick? Just real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Because again, this is the one bad thing about the scans is they take out the glow of the hollow. Like, and on, like, it is, you don't want to zoom in. Just like, it's awesome, guys. That platinum hollow foil around the window is just, it's
beautiful.
Perfect.
It is beautiful. There's no doubt. And then you got the gold on the Steph here. And again, it's just a testament to how nice Flawless is. Let's have a look at this one too. And just
this one doesn't glow though, right?
It doesn't. You're right. It does. You're right. Still beautiful, but the gold,
great.
It's gold. It's still beautiful. But yeah, you're right. Okay, let's keep on going. Let's have a look at this next row. We got a Steph Topps Chrome Rookie PSA 10. We've got a blue Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor Mike Trout out of 150. Gorgeous card, $10,000. And here's that Tiger Woods SB Authentic Stars Rookie Card Auto numbered out of 900. And like you just said, Dirk has a sick auto. Look at Tiger's auto. Like, that is just beautiful. He's got a great autograph too. Love this card. This to me is a monster card in the hobby. I love it. And there's a case available tonight as well. I think what was the case was earlier was cheaper than what this card is at. This is at $22,750. Let's see if we can scroll up quickly and find that case and see what it's sitting at now. Should get there momentarily here.
I did a research
project. 13.5 on the case, 22 on the card itself. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
No, you're good. I once did a research project on the SPAs for golf, and it's really hard to pull a Tiger. I mean, it's really, really hard, but that's not the only reason why you buy a case, right? The opportunity to open that is just so rare. And so I love it, but like, if it was me, dude, I'd buy that Tiger, and I would just love that card. That would be, I'd say, okay, I got that. I've got my Tiger taken care of. There's only the 900 of them in the world. This one's about as nice as it gets. And that autograph, I know we've talked about it a million times, but Tiger's autograph is one of the top few in the whole hobby.
So I've got his SI for Kids rookie card from 96, which is like 5 years before this. So to me, I've got Tiger covered there. And to me, that's a better card, better because it's older. But this is numbered. It's a more beautiful card, and it's autographed. So this is a case where I would want both. You know, I wouldn't replace the SI for Kids with this because I think that's just an awesome card, but I would like to have both. Terp Enforcer, I couldn't agree with this more. He says NT carries higher value, but Flawless is more beautiful card. And to me, Terp Enforcer, so is Immaculate nicer than NT. But those are just my opinions on aesthetics. All right, we've got a Josh Allen Prism Camo PSA 10 top 12 sitting at 4,800. We got an Aaron Judge Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor Auto out of 50 at 9,750. And then we got an 03 Topps Chrome Refractor LeBron James BGS 10 at 22,500. Adam, this would have been 150K during the peak, would it not have been? I mean, BGS 10 refractor.
I always forget. I know these rows just into an insane rate that I think most of us that have been around for a long time just sort of looked at and went, that just doesn't make any sense. This is something much more manageable than what it used to be at, and sort of makes more sense. I still look at LeBron stuff and think, with all of his great rookies that he's got from 03, man, I would just go with an autograph. And that tells me, like, I'm more of an autograph guy. I just am.
Yeah. I want to go back up here for a moment just because Warrior said that Tiger's crazy nice. I take that one of the three in that row. And yeah, hands down, I would too. Now, if the Steph was a little bit fancier or a bit of a nicer card, I do like Steph, and I've never owned a Steph card at all. Any card in my, maybe a base card in a box of Prism or something, but I've never owned an important Steph card, and I would like to, but I would probably veer towards an auto patch instead of the rookie. I'm with you, Warrior Kid. I would take this Tiger Woods card as well. Before we continue, Signed in Slab says NT carries a higher value because people are dumb and don't read the back of the cards. I wouldn't say they're dumb. signed, David, but I know what you're saying, and I'm just trying to be polite here, but I definitely agree with you. And then Nick Leach says, Jeremy, I think Immaculate is nicer than both. Yeah, I think Immaculate is probably the nicest. I love the looks of Immaculate, for sure. Okay, let's keep on going, Adam. We did this row. We got a KD white refractor numbered out of 99 in a PSA 9. Like, I'm not a KD fan, but I know a lot of people are, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest ever. I don't care that it's a 9 versus a 10. This could be a 10. You can just submit this enough times, it'll get a 10 eventually, sort of thing. $4,500 for a KD Topps Chrome refractor out of 99. This seems like an absolute steal to me, but that's just me, Adam. I don't know for sure. Am I missing something, or is this ridiculously low for this card?
There's two things to know on this card. The first is that they didn't make a gold refractor this year. I always point that out because people always forget it. 07 Chrome does not have a gold. It does have a black X-fractor that's numbered out of 50. So this isn't the rarest. And of course, it has the 1-of-1 superfractor that hasn't sold in years and years of the Durant. But the white is just a beautiful card. The other thing is Durant has sort of, as he's getting to the end of his career, is sort of going through some of the things that LeBron has gone through. He's just not. There's a lot of people who've speculated on him for a long time, but they're not actually looking to own his cards. Like they don't really want to collect them. So a lot of people have bought, have now sold, and it's sort of created this like down market. But look, when it's all over, he's going to be a top 5 to 6 scorer of all time. He still has a chance to get even higher than that, depending on how long he wants to play. He's one of the greatest scorers of all time, and anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong. And you know, he's jumped around, and that's led him to not having the best reputation and the most collectible. But dude is a gamer, and honestly, like from an aesthetics perspective, he's one of the greatest players I've ever seen play. He's
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue or doubt any of that, and that's why this card, being a rookie refractor out of 99 from Topps Chrome, is at $4,600. If this was in a PSA 10 holder, I don't know what it would sell for, but to me, who cares 9 or 10? It's with PSA, it's often the exact same thing. Like, you know, probably 45% of the time it could go one way or the other. So who cares? This to me, I'm kind of blown away. It's not a card that I would buy. I don't know enough about it. I'm not a KD fan, but I've seen the rise and fall of his cards. The rise, fall, the cycles over the past 5 years seems like an absolute bargain to me right there. Vintage Card Collector says, I would take a Steph Crown Royal auto on card, rookie card. I can see that. I'm not a fan of the Crown Royal aesthetic. I never have been in hockey either. So I don't know that I'd want it. There's something else I'd get probably over that, but I hear you. And hey, that's just my taste. I completely respect that comment. Now, Wills has a comment that we're not going to take the time for right now, Adam, but we will after. He wants to know, what's the history of NT over Flawless over Immaculate? I think it's a great question. Or maybe you'll talk about it in a basketball card podcast one day, but we can come back to that a little bit later. David says, so interesting on the Brady. Historically, they wouldn't slab on the front since he's actually on the back. Yeah, this is the back of the card, you guys. And I love the PSA puts him on the front of the slab instead of Mark Bulger and puts him on the back. That is just attention to detail and giving the customer what they want. Unless you are a relative of Mark Bulger, then you probably want him on the front, or maybe not. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, I'm just watching the Wemby. It just hit 380, so that's $450 something thousand. It's one of the first times. It's an interesting moment because, Jeremy, you and I have been here for a long time doing this. We did this show during the peak.
Well, Adam, this is actually our 3-year anniversary tonight. Like this is the last show of 3 complete years we've been doing this show.
This is the first time in a while we've had a card that just is sort of like, yeah, where we're all going like, oh man. And you know what it means. Like, I mean, you know what it means. There's 2 guys who are the guys in our hobby that just have, I don't want to say limitless funds, but 2 guys that are like, I want to own one of the best Wemby cards.
Just went up again.
And
it just crossed $500,000. It just crossed $500,000.
And you don't know you just don't know, Jeremy, when you have a card like that, where it's going to end. And there's one. This is the power of the one of one. It's the power of the prospecting, like the guy who has the chance to be an all-time great of one of his best cards. You don't know what it'll do. You don't know if it's going to be, like we said at the beginning of the night, you don't know if it's going to be 150 grand or how high it could possibly go. But true black, in my opinion, I said at the beginning, I think it's $1 million card. And this is verifying that.
It is actually, that's a really good call you made now that we have some actual, as long as it gets paid for and all that, which I mean, I gotta think it will be, but you never know, I guess. I think you're right, Adam. I think you make a really, really good point right there. Yeah, Nick Leach, the Wemby is going nuts. Give me that Peyton and Dirk, he says. Jeff Hart says, remember when the regular refractor, he's talking about KD here, used to sell for 40K plus. Yeah, now you can get the white on a 99 for under 10 grand, maybe around 5. Seems pretty nuts altogether. Will says, yeah, he's laughing at the Wemby, had around 100K. Congrats to the seller. Great time to sell. Yeah, definitely for sure. Hottest rookie since Zion. It's true. That's true. Meanwhile, the Barry Sanders is kind of stalled out. I think we came in at 110, 120. We're up to 140. All the money's going to Wemby. This guy's had a career. This guy hasn't yet. Not to say I don't want to compare the two. I guess kind of am. I still take the Barry unless I could immediately sell this for 500 grand, buy the Barry and have 360 left over or so. Which I could do a lot of things with 360K. So
we had the question earlier from Frankie, or not question. He said I'm going to be really something like, I'm going to be really mad if the Jordan PSA 10 sells for more than the PMG. I wouldn't say mad. I don't know that that's what he said either. I feel the same sentiment. I continue to just sort of be amazed that like these PSA 10 Jordans sell for as much as they do, when like one of his best cards in existence that's extremely rare is going to, right now it looks like it's sell for under 200 grand. Like there's like, it's like a pop too. I would rather have that PMG than 3 of those Jordans. I'm just being real. I would. It's not even a conversation to me. That's one of his best cards.
Here, okay, so yeah, I hear, and on the same, with the same sort of sentiment, Vintage Card Collector just made a comment that I'm like, yeah, like you're so right. He says you can get the Jordan and the Barry and 150K to spare instead of the Wemby. So give me the Jordan, yes, please. Give me the Barry Sanders, yes, please. And that 150, I'll spread between the Griffey, the Babe Ruth, and I'll grab all those Connor McDavids instead of one.
But to argue for the Wemby though, like, and this is, you asked me earlier, what would you rather do, the Wemby or the Jordan? And I just said the Jordan because that's what I collect. But like, I get this. I do get this, that it's worth so much more than these other key cards, because again, we're maybe talking about his 3rd or 4th best card in existence. And those are all one of ones. And it's that against these other cards that are numbered to 50 of Jordan. And again, I would collect the Jordan way ahead of the Wemby, but like, if you want to be there for the ride and you believe he's going to be an all-time great, Jeremy, I get it, man. I do. I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. Well, my only comment to that is, after watching the cycles of this hobby for 40 years now, the better decision financially is what Vintage is saying here, and what a lot of people are saying. I will bet my house on that right there. I don't even care if Wemby becomes a top 3 player of all time. It could go Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama. I'm still taking those other cards over the Wemby at that price, because I just know how these things go. Because as soon as there's another generational talent that comes around, Wembanyama is not going to be the flavor of the year. That's just the way it works. It doesn't matter how good you are. Same thing will apply with Connor Bedard in hockey. Same thing applies with every player that comes through cards. It's just the way it goes. Yeah, Nick says my house is saying, I know, that's why I would say I would do that. Like it's just. But your comment, if you want to ride the wave, I'll tell you what, Adam, I don't want to bury $400,000 to ride the wave by owning that card. I would rather, but some people do. I get that.
Some people
Some
do.
people want to own the best card. It provides the best flexes. It gets the most likes on Instagram. It's a really good card to help your self-esteem when you flex it. It's a really good card for that. Yes.
But more than that, it's
But I don't want to pay. I would rather them pay me to follow them along their career. And that's what I've done historically with cards. Buy them not when, and you can't do it so much anymore because everything's so expensive out of the gate. It's hard to do it any other way unless you wait a few years. You wait until there's a dip in the cycle, you buy it then, and then you wait for it to rise up again. But
so
yeah, I don't listen. I'm happy for the buyer. You get each to their own. Listen, if that good, buy the card, enjoy it. Hopefully your financial outlay, either 400 or $500,000, it really doesn't change your life, which it must not if you're buying a basketball card. And hopefully he stays healthy and has a great career, and you can at least minimize your eventual loss on this card. I just can't see it maintaining. But
so David said, who remembers what happened with the Luka Logo Man, but Wemby will be different. The Luka Logo Man from NT sold for, this is just off the top of my head, so it's not perfect. I think it sold for first for 4.2, and then the next time it sold for like 3.4. And it's still worth a crap ton of money. It's still worth a couple $1 million at least. Like Wemby won't have that. It won't exist for him. And so again, if the question all comes down to what are the great cards of Wemby that will exist and how great will he be? And there is a real chance, that this is like think about this. LeBron James gold refractor out of Chrome got to the point where it was like $1 million card, right? And there are 50 of those. Like if the best Wembanyamas are the one of ones out of Prism, then what does that mean 20 years from now? What could he be? His numbers that Brian was talking about earlier, he said, I think you probably caught this, Jeremy. We didn't comment on it, but he said, if Wembanyama plays 35 minutes a game next year, you're going to see Wilt-like numbers. What he means is Wembanyama next year could average, like legitimately could average 35 points and 16 rebounds and 5 blocks a game. He could be something that we've never seen before, and he could be the story day after day, week after week for the next 10 or 15 years. And if that's the case, then that's why somebody who has $500,000, which I don't have, you probably don't have, most people don't have, that's why those people go and buy a card like this. And I hesitate to look at them and tell them they're going to do it wrong, because there have been other times where I've told those people that they're going to do it wrong, and then I turned out to be wrong. And but having said that, your comment about I've been around for a long time and this is what happens more often than not, I'll agree with you on that. There are a lot of times where the guy that we think is going to be an all-time great ends up not being that, and we end up going, man, that was a huge mistake. I just don't know that that's what will happen here. So I hesitate to go down that road.
But listen, I'm also, even if he is an all-time great, even if he is a top 5 player of all time, the other thing is that this isn't his best one of one. This isn't the true black. This is the shimmer. So like, as you were telling us earlier, going through kind of what better cards there are, but then again, $500,000, it's not a lot of money for a lot of people that are buying the best cards in the hobby. So, and hey, I'll be happy to be wrong. I'll be happy that history does not repeat itself with this card, and that this card does go on to be, where 15 years from now, Adam, after he has the great seasons, similar to the numbers that you were just referencing that Cajun said, maybe this is a $2 million card. Maybe at that point, MK will trade away his green PMG Jordan for the Wembanyama Black Shimmer because it's a better card and it's worth more. And consensus says it's worth more. And he likes the price. The scorecard is the most important thing. And to him, the price of the scorecard. So maybe this card gets into that upper echelon and it becomes a multi-million-dollar card. Maybe that happens, and I'll be happy to look back at this video and say, I was wrong. I'm okay being wrong. It's okay to be wrong, Can't be right all the time. Not even close. Dylan Rantucci, we will see you at Expo next week. Cannot wait. Will's, yes, been following card prices since the early 80s. Well, really probably 86 or so is when I really started following card. values. Signed in Slab says, don't we think Wemby is going to have a logo man? Just won't be autographed. Why wouldn't that be better than the Prism? I mean, I think the answer is it will be better than the Prism. It might not be a rookie year card. Even if it isn't a rookie year card, to me, it's still better than the Prism because it's got the logo man in it. But I'm also not like, I like some rookie card. To me, rookie cards are a lot more important up until like the end of the 90s or so. Then they become less important to me because there's just so many rookie year cards now, but that's a whole other discussion. Go ahead, Adam.
So yeah, that's a really good question by David. So typically what we see is for guys that can sign for Panini, they'll have a Logo Man auto out of at least Immaculate and National Treasures, and those are not game worn. Sometimes in the past they've been, and David already knows this, but for everybody's benefit, sometimes they're photo shoot, and then Flawless over the last couple of years has come along and done a game used autograph Logo Man for some guys, not for everybody, because it's hard for them to get those ready for a product at the end of the year. But then what you see is those same brands will typically do like an insert sort of card where, and they've done this since I think 2014, where the player will have 5 Logo Man cards. So like Joel Embiid, for example, has 5 Logo Man cards out of NT, and they're like photo shoot cards, for photo shoot Logo Man cards. Those cards aren't viewed nearly anywhere close to what the key Prism cards are. They're not. The key Prism Gold, for example, is a much superior card to the high-end collector over this like Logo Man card. So the question with Wemby, and we don't know the answer to this, the question for Wemby is, what will they do? What will Panini do? Will they make one that's like the key one? Will they make several? Will they sort of differentiate and say, this is the one that would have been autographed? Like it's like the parallel of the rookie card. Because if they do that, like let's say they do a National Treasure set and they do National Treasures patches, they're just not autographed, and then they make one that's like the Logo Man parallel to the base card. I think it'll be really interesting to see how collectors react to that, because that's not something that's existed before. Those have always been autographed. So, but generally, David, I would say that the highest end collectors will go after things like the Prism Gold rookie card and the blacks way ahead of generic Logo Man. And since he can't sign cards for Panini, that's all we're, I think, pretty certain that we'll get.
You know your stuff, Adam. I remember earlier in the stream, someone said that Peyton Manning should be 50,000. It now is 60. So whoever said that was definitely correct. So okay, first of all, Zach congratulates us for 3 years doing this show. Thank you, Zach. That's very nice of you. Appreciate the congrats. And yeah, Adam, this is the 36th time we have done this show. You might have missed one along the way. I might have missed one along the way, or I came in late, I think. Remember?
You did. You missed all but about 20 minutes of one, and I missed all but about 20 minutes of one. But I think that's about it, man. Like we've pretty much been here for all the other 36, and I'm just the lucky one who you asked first, and I hung on as long as I could.
You sure have. Yeah, hey, we love doing it. Rage says, I'm taking all the greats 10 times a week on twice on Sundays. Goats for me, more than the Wembys across all sports. Sorry, not sorry. But the thing is, eventually Wemby could be one of these goats. I hope he gets there. I hope I'm wrong about that card. Like, I take no pride in being right about calling that. I hope that I'm wrong. And that card is, if that card is worth $2 million or $1 million down the road, congratulations to the owner at that time. And that'll probably bode well for the hobby overall. So I hope for that. Vintage Card Collector says, I will bet on Fanatics to design something crazy cool that will top a Prism 1 of 1 with a lousy photograph. I mean, they did it in baseball with the debut patch, so maybe they will.
Just real quick,
says, I look forward to the stream every month. So do we. And Nick, thank you for that. Glad to have you. Really appreciate it. Adam, please.
Yeah, so Fanatics can do some amazing things, and they will have some of the biggest Wemby cards ever. I have no question about that. But they can't make a rookie card that's NBA licensed. And right now, the whole history of the hobby tells us that NBA licensed rookie card, or the pro league license on the rookie card, like, it matters a lot. And so I don't know, like, maybe something will come along in a few years, like a really cool parallel that everybody loves that becomes a bigger card, there's a real chance of that. But if you want the best rookie cards, that's got to be a Panini card right now. It does.
Yeah. Hey, right. Fair response. Anthony, the way the auction works is that if a bid is placed on any item, the clock extends for 60 seconds. It gets reset to a minute. So there are several cards that might not have had any bid during extended bidding, but the whole auction remains alive until all items receive no bid for a 60-second period. Just FYI. Stephen Ho, welcome. Good to see you, buddy. Says, we'll miss the 03. Oh, he's selling the 03 exquisite Michael Jordan Noble nameplate, the one we were talking about. Hope it finds a good home. Superb show as always. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate you being here and watching. So everyone, wish him luck selling the Jordan Noble nameplates with the beautiful hollow foil that Adam, I love it too. Adam especially loves this one right here. That's his card on the screen right now, everybody. So good luck to you, Stephen, on your sale. And I know Stephen buys cards in the auction too, so I have a feeling you might just be moving the money into a different card. And I know you like great cards, Stephen. So I can't wait to see what you might be buying. And then I also just wanted to highlight, because it was Anthony here who said he knows the owner of the Shohei 101 here, sitting at 19,000, and the clock's at 18 seconds. But as soon as a bid is placed on any item, they will reset for all the items. Again, just a reminder on how it works. And good luck again to you, Stephen, on the sale. Now we're down to 6 seconds here. This could be it. Probably not. Nope. Probably not is right. It will keep on going here. All right. Let's just see if there's any more cards here, Adam, that we want to focus in on. Let me know if you see something here. Of course, I love the 51 Bowman Mickey. I said earlier I have a copy, and boy, is it a great looking card. It's not 52 tops, but it is the one and only true rookie. Oh, Adam, this card here. I opened this up. Beautiful card here. $34,000. 07 exquisite enshrinements, Jordan and LeBron on card autos. And I mean, these autographs are perfect. Like, look at that. Look at the color. I mean, I say perfect, 95% perfect, I would say. Jordan, beautiful as well. Like, no fading. To me, that's the key. No fading on those autos. Numbered 4 of 10 right there. Autographs are graded a 10 on the back. Adam, I mean, we've looked at a few other dual autos tonight. This to me is the nicest of all. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. Exquisite was just so ornate. The etched foil, this one isn't hollow, but sometimes just the etched foil on its own really can take a card to the next level. And I think you and I agree. This one, compared to the other two we were looking at earlier, this is by far the nicest, and it's the rarest.
Yeah, there's in the 360. The foil is just beautiful. I mean, we've seen nicer foil, but it's very nice. Great looking card right there. Justin White says, thoughts on the Chet rookie with sticker auto, opinions on sticker versus on card. The card is 16K plus, which is probably somewhere down here. Adam, you want to take this one first? I'm happy to fall in after you there.
Sure. Yeah. I haven't seen it. So when you get there, I'd love to comment on it.
To the sticker versus on card, though. That's something you can jump into right away.
Well, I think that it just depends to me on the set. There's some cards, Giannis's Prism, for example, is only sticker. And I really like that card, I think, more than most people do, because it's one of his earliest autos.
Oh, right here.
And it's really like a quality, longer, nice auto. This Chet is at what it's at because it's the black. And the fact that it's black means that you can see the rookie shield. It's a 1 of 1. It's not the base set 1 of 1. It's like an insert. But it's a really cool card. I love Chet Holmgren. I think he's got a chance to be really like one of the best 5 players in the league for a long time. He's in that very unfortunate position of being a rookie the same year as Victor Wembanyama, because almost every other year he would have not only been the rookie of the year, but one of the talks of the NBA. He was completely overshadowed by Victor this year. But that's a great card. It's not his rookie card. It's an insert. And so That's why it's not a crazy price. I think this is a pretty healthy number for this card, in my opinion.
But it's a rookie year card. And to me, that's kind of as cool as a rookie card. It does say RC on it, which will maybe eventually fool a few people. As for the question that he asks, opinion on sticker versus on card, I'm an on card autograph collector all the way. When I do collect autos, I actually have a rule. I won't pick up a card with the sticker on it. It's just an easy way for me to eliminate several cards from my want list. And I actually don't think that autographs look good on Prism cards. I don't think stickers look good on the Prism cards. I don't like it personally. I would rather have a non-auto than a sticker auto on a Prism. I would rather have an autographed immaculate or flawless or even NT over a non-autograph one. But is this clock still going? Clock's still going. So yeah, I'm not a fan of them, Justin. Just to answer your question, Jared joins the show and lets us know that he's selling his Brady Champ ticket in this auction. Congrats to the next buyer. Cannot go wrong with the GOAT. Thank you, Jared, for jumping in, letting us know, and good luck to you on your sale. Hope you kill it in there. Just like Rage says, hope they run it up for you. Good luck to you on that one for sure. Okay, what else we got? Josh Giddey, Logo Man. Auto here. We got, what the nicest Kobe rookie, I think, the 96 finest refractor. Beautiful card, Adam. PSA 10 sitting at 91.25. We've talked about these Jordans earlier on. This is a superior eye appeal. That's top 5%, 54 tops, Ernie Banks rookie. The clock's down to 4 seconds. Let's just hold on a minute and see if it's going to. Is the auction over? Yes, the auction is now over, everybody. The auction is over. Ernie Banks sold for $7,800. I have to look at this anyway, Adam. The centering, I don't know how this got the S for eye appeal because it is so badly off-centered top to bottom, but maybe they just gave it on the edges and the corners and the surface and said, you know what? It's not well-centered, but everything else is unbelievable, which I agree with. But you can see the centering on this card. You can see a very slim border up here compared to a pretty wide one down here. Now, the 54s are tougher to assess centering, but to me, there's a clear border here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not how centering is assessed on this card. I can't imagine it isn't, though. And to me, I don't see it, but nonetheless, maybe it's because of all the other attributes of the card for a 7 as well. So just want to see what else we had. We talked about most of those. There's the champ ticket that just sold for Jared for $192,000. We've about 160 or so, or 160 goes to him. That's amazing. Congratulations to you, Jared. Awesome card, by the way, in the BGS 7.5 holder. The Jordan BGS 9.5 sells for $45,600. D Wade. What else? There's the Johnny Moore, does $15,000 for the PSA 10, the most expensive common card in the hobby, probably. Jordan PSA 10 Fleer does $216 here. Adam, they seem to be trend. They were, on that 160, 180 for a while. $216 is nice to see on that. The Kareem sticker does $132, which is down from that. What did Cajun tell us? They were selling for a quarter.
No. The last 3 sold for $98. This was a really healthy sale for the Jabbar.
What was the high, though? I think he told us the high was like 250 or something.
He did. And actually, I was going to follow up with a question. I think if I remember right, at one point, Brian was offered $400 for his. And so he ended up selling it for quite a bit less, but the high was $240, I think.
Wow. Okay, so let's scan through all this and see what everything's sold for. We've kind of come down to the bottom here. 132 on Kareem, 216 on MJ, 25.5 on the beautiful Bird Magic rookie. CJ Stroud Kaboom Gold does 12.6. The Johnny Moore we talked about. We saw these guys. The LeBron 2012 Panini Prism Silver does 10.650. And the D Wade Gold Chrome Refractor does 18.6. We just saw Brent Wire, whose IG name is a Deep Value, just bought the Westbrook for like $2,000 on the weekly the other day, which I thought was an amazing purchase.
It is.
And now the D Wade does 18.6, different years, of course. I get that. The Platinum Medallion PSA 10 does 28.2. The Thrill Seekers 25.2. We saw Ernie 10.950 on Kobe here, 33.6 on the Giddy, 15.9 on the Chet, 78K on the Ronaldo PSA 10, 78K. This is interesting. I had this card. I don't know if it was the exact same copy or not, but I had a PSA 10 of this finest embossed refractor, numbered on the back at a 287. Sold mine on the platform here, I think in October. Mine did 13,250. This one did 12,6. So did a bit better, which is kind of cool for me to sell it back when I did. The SGA does 15K right here. The Ronaldo sticker does 21.9. The Brady 16.2, 57.60. I think dirt cheap, I think, for that KD card. Josh Allen does 5,700. Aaron Judge 11.7. The LeBron Topps Chrome Refractor BGS 10 does $27,000, as does the SPA Tiger Woods. The Mike Trout does 12.3, and the Steph Curry does 18,000. The Dobie does just under 9K. The Jordan Love 101 Black Finite does 30,300, and the Bryce Harper Gold Refractor 16.2. Excuse me. Steph Curry 76.50. Dirk Nowitzki 33.6. Lionel Messi 9,600. 12.9 on the second copy of Bird Magic. 60K, Adam, on the Peyton Manning Shield. 57.6 on the LeBron MJ. This is LeBron's rookie year dual auto. Gorgeous Kobe limited logos does 30 even. The Steph Curry NT Colossal Logo Man out of 2 does 35.1. A box of 03 Topps Chrome does just under $10,000. 03 Exquisite Pack does 43.2. That's one pack, one box, 43,200. That is a collector's item as it is, right? Like some people will open these, but there's 5 cards in there. It's $8,500 a card, 8,600, something like that.
It's amazing. We get to
amazing.
Hopefully, one of the Nubani boys bought that and can open it at National or something.
Steven's 03 Exquisite LeBron does 24.6. Congratulations, Steven. Hopefully you did well on that card. Trilogy Dual Auto Jordan LeBron does 39.6. Is that a Wizards card?
No, it's an all-star jersey.
All-star. Okay, good. The Luminescent, not the Illuminator. The Luminescent does 7,800. Jaw does 13.5. And this beautiful, exquisite dual auto MJ and LeBron does 40,800. The Griffey, beautiful Griffey does 12.6. Passing the torch, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, 12.6 as well. And the Kevin Garnett auto patch, auto jersey out of 21 does 5,280. Keeping on going, 33.6 on the Michael Jordan Scoring Kings Plus from 96. Pop 6 in PSA 10 does 33,600. The Keith Van Horn PMG Green 9,600, and the Kobe Prime Choice Reserve just under $5,000. We got a Shohei at 9,600. The Austin Matthews RPA from the Cup does 69. Not a great patch, a weak 2 color, but all you can get are 2 colors on these. So there are not many that are much better than this. The Mickey Mantle does 24.6. The 2 dual autos here, 22.5 on the LeBron MJ, while the Kobe MJ does 13.5. Russell Owens, or Jesse Owens, I should say, does 8,400. Kobe Refractor Rookie 97.50. Michael Jordan Nike Promo 11.1. And the Ronald Acuna Shimmer does 10,950.
How green was that Kobe? We didn't really get to take a look at it.
Yeah,
but that's a really low number for a Kobe refractor.
Yeah, well, all of his arms are green up to his hands. His face is green. His legs are green, except for where his socks would go. Defender is completely green on the leg and the arm. He's all green.
This is like a bottom 20% sort as far as color goes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that makes sense from all the copies that I've looked at, which is
a great price. It's a great price for the card and the grade.
8.5 too. I mean, you're gonna get it cheaper at that grade as well.
I would real quick too. I would love to see PWCC do the eye appeal on that set. I really would. I think that would be really cool.
Thank you, Rage. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate it. Because it's a signed and slab says because it's a Marvel, Kobe. He's hulking is what he's saying. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Okay, let's keep on going. See what else we got. There's the Bill Russell number of pieces 18,000. The Shaq logo man 7,000. The Connor McDavid tribute RPA for rookie year 26/7. Love that card. The Jordan sticker PSA 10 does 60, while the autograph copy does half the price, almost 31.8. And the case of golf, SP Authentic Golf from 01 does 16.2. The McDavid SPA Future Watch Auto Patch 19,800. The Otani 101 22.8. The Mario Lemieux O-Pee-Chee PSA 10 pop 40 something, I believe, maybe high 40s, does 28.8. The Babe Ruth Exhibits 18.6. The Michael Jordan SPA Sign of the Times beautiful card and auto 55,200 on this one, you guys. Pop 9, none graded higher by Beckett. The McDavid Exquisite RPA does 28.8. The Babe Ruth SGC 5 1933 Gaudy does 38,400. It's got the superior eye appeal. I put my copy up against that one too. I think mine's superior as well. But of course, I don't get to say that. I can say it, but it doesn't matter. The 03 Exquisite Noble Nameplates MJ does 60,000. And the Essential Credentials Kobe 49.2. So, I'm taking this one. You're taking this one. I'm leaving 22K on the table.
Steven mentioned that he bought 3 cards, and I laughed to myself because on Instagram today, I can't remember if he tagged you. He tagged me, though. He said something like, I love watching Adam and Jeremy's show. The problem is I can't tune in too much because I always end up spending more money. And then he sold this one, and he bought 3 cards. So I'm interested what he bought. And I hope, Steven, if you're there, I'd love to hear what you bought. If you want to share it with us, we'd love to hear it.
He can often be a private guy, so
that's true. That's true.
The LeBron Ultimate Rookie 57.6. The Barry Sanders did not get a ton more bids in extended. Sells for 168, which is, I guess, 140 pre-BP. Only got 3 more bids or so.
Let me say this. That is a lot of money for a 90s football card. Like, that is a lot of money for a 90s football card. But it's not a lot when you compare it to 90s basketball cards. But I hear what you're saying. You're right. It's not. And I would go a step further. I think it's the best 90s football card that there is. So I really thought this one might have legs today. I was wrong on that one.
And if you're right in that this is the best 90s football card, and I'm certainly not saying you're wrong. If you're right, and most people agree with that, I think this card's a steal because football is a more popular sport than basketball, at least in the U.S. But
that's a big thing, though. Somebody else said that earlier about ratings. Like, I don't think people understand how big basketball is in other countries, especially in Asia. And in Asia, this. Like, I would say, this is going to sound crazy. I bet you half of my friends in the hobby, half of my good friends, are Asian basketball card collectors. They're just really passionate, and that doesn't exist for the same way for football. It doesn't.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Even Stephen Ho, who is in the chat, who's buying and selling cards, he's Asian. He doesn't live in Asia. He probably has a place there, but he lives in Canada actually, and he collects basketball and hockey. I don't know if he touches any football. David says this proves no one really collects football. Yeah, right. I know. So there's that. There's the MK narrative. MK push that narrative, but it's far from true.
I love MK's take, though. And there are definitely football collectors. I think there are fewer real. Like, there's tons of flippers, and there are collectors. They exist. I get the spirit of what he was saying. He thinks I think to restate it, he would say something like, there are fewer real collectors in football than there are in basketball. My experience, and again, I'm just a basketball guy, so who knows? My experience is that's true at the high end. Maybe not at the low end, but at the high end, I think that's true.
I wonder, though, how many we see so many high-end basketball cards appear and reappear on PWCC and eBay and Golden, but not like that Barry, right? Like, we've never seen a Gem Masters. I mean, they exist. We've never seen the Gem Masters Kobe. We've never seen the Gem Masters Jordan. We've seen the Duncan, and the Duncan's probably the 4th or the 5th best in the set.
So that's
Yeah.
something. But
I
the
think-
Barry's
I
the best card.
I think it's also really limited to Instagram. I think that there's a bias towards what we see on Instagram. If you spend a lot of time there, if you don't, then you think what we're talking about is rubbish, because you go to the card shows. There's more football cards out than basketball at the National, like vintage wise, because there's hardly any vintage basketball sets out there to collect.
That's
The
right.
vintage football, there's a ton of football collectors out there. I mean, it's almost, I almost don't like that MK says that so much, because it's just not true. And it's on Instagram, where there's a lot of impressionable people, and all you see on there is a lot of high-end. Well, you see so much high-end basketball on Instagram,
You do.
but Instagram isn't the hobby. It's part of it. It's one
You're
of
right.
the many communities, but there's more football. I would actually argue, based on, walking the floor of card shows for decades now, that, there's probably more football. I would think there's more true football collectors and basketball collectors out there. I think there's more basketball flippers and people that are just in, because there's so much money in basketball. That's where the money is. That's where the flippers are going. That's where they're going to make the money, is in basketball. They're touching other sports too. But I find basketball to have a very transient collector base, because so many of them are just flippers.
Do you think? Two things? Do you think that what you said about Instagram, I will concede that, and even I'll agree with that. I think that's true. Do you think, though, that same thing that you just said about the show is basically the same thing you said about Instagram? Because Instagram represents a certain group. Your show represents largely those people who are from your geography, right? You're not getting those Asian collectors that we talked about that are super high end, that maybe aren't as transient. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is we've just painted with such a broad brush around like basketball and football. We would both, think immediately agree, like the late 90s collectors in basketball are going to look really different than the vintage collectors, that are going to look really different than the modern collectors. And you have all those same groups in football. I think your point is, don't paint with such a broad brush, MK. I think I agree with that. And that's why I qualified it by saying at the high end, but you're right to see, even saying it at the high end is probably not right. Maybe at the highest end there's more basketball, but I don't even know if that's true.
I don't know. I mean,
know.
And when I'm talking about walking the floor at card shows, I'm talking about the biggest of the National and the Expo. I've been to 17 or 18 Nationals now. I've been to 35 or 40 Expos. I've been to other regional small shows. And when you go to these shows that bring out the biggest turnout of collectors, or let's just call them hobbyists, I mean, up until recently, there's definitely more football than basketball, and it wasn't even close, really. Like, basketball was the niche sport, even more niche probably than hockey was, probably because there were just so few basketball cards produced up until the 90s, really. Like, real, right? I mean, you had Tops, some people don't even count Star. You have to count Star. You got it. But when Fleer was coming out, there was no other basketball sets from 86 until through 89. All you had was Fleer, 132 different cards a year plus stickers. Very small set. So there's not that many basketball cards that are collect until now. Modern day, I mean, I think modern, you've got more basketball hobbyists than you have football hobbyists, but you can't just talk modern. You have to think about the dusty cards, the vintage. And I think that a lot of those people aren't on Instagram, Yeah.
So I think that's true. I think it's interesting that the Barry sold for what it did. And if we were to sort of take what would the equivalent of the Barry be in basketball? So if you've told me before that Barry's the number one in football. You still feel that way?
I mean,
for that year. Yeah.
Yeah. I would think that Barry Sanders outperforms, I don't even know if Joe Montana's gone by then, but he's outperforming like the Emmitt Smiths and the Brett Favre and
Peyton's in that set.
Peyton should be right up there too. Peyton should
It's
be right up
actually
there.
it's Peyton's rookie too, but he's in his Volunteers jersey, so that's a little bit funky. But so that card, the corollary to that in basketball would then be the Jordan. The Jordan Gem Masters is a 7-figure card. And I think it's the Kobe's a 7-figure card too. So
And Jordan, yeah. So yeah, and that I wonder how much of that is the Asia effect. I just wonder, or just the fact that basketball, for whatever reason, brings out. I mean, does it kind of have to be the Asia effect?
I don't know. The star power, it's not just Asia, because the star power of Kobe or the star power of Jordan, the clear top too, and Shaq probably too, but definitely the top pick too. They're just so much greater than the star power of Barry Sanders. They just are.
Yeah. Well, Michael Jordan is in a class of himself above any athlete of any era, any time. Sure. The only person to me that even comes close, and he doesn't, but it's like Jackie Robinson. Like no one else comes close to Michael Jordan. Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods, Babe Ruth, Pelé, or Ronaldo or Messi. Maybe pick whatever soccer player. Muhammad Ali, like those guys, the people, the athlete, the professional athletes who have transcended the sport and become cultural icons around the world. Like the way that like superstars of music become rock stars and Taylor Swifts and the Beatles and the Elvises. Like once you get to that level where everybody's heard your name, like everybody, there's nobody who doesn't know who Michael Jordan is.
Right.
Unless you literally live under a rock.
And 90s football doesn't have that guy. Brady gets there, but Brady's not until the 2000s.
And Brady's not even there. Like he's there in North America.
Brady's the closest. He's closer than anybody from the 90s is in football. I know that.
He's for sure he's the closest. The 90s, yeah, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith.
So having seen this card sell today for $168,000, I would guess, based on the Tim Duncan that sold for $120 2 months ago here, I would guess that in basketball. So look, Jordan, like I said, is a 7-figure card. I said Kobe's 7 figures. I'm going to backtrack on that. I don't think he is, but I don't think he's like 100. I don't think he's like $200,000. I think the Kobe's probably high 6 figures, at least $500,000, maybe closer to $1 million, somewhere in that range. And then everybody down from there is like, you've still got Shaq. I think Shaq would be more than Barry. And then you're into like that Iverson group. And so Barry Sanders would come, in my opinion, around 4th or 5th when you compare him to basketball. And that's kind of how basketball and football line up right now. And the question is, why? Why is it like that? Because this is the PMG of this set, right? Like we talked about, the one with the lion, the one that's sort of the one that's recognizable, the right player. It's the one of one. It's interesting that it would come 4th or 5th next to those other guys. And I think that's especially true, Jeremy, when you realize that it's the 98 set in basketball. It's not the PMG championships. This is a better set. So again, to me, that's disappointing. It's less than I would have. I thought this would have been bigger than it was.
Yeah, I did too. One thing is, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good on your computer screen or your phone. And that could have held it back. It shouldn't have. If you're in the market for this card, you probably know what you're getting. And I did think about it, and then Rage said it too. I forgot about Jerry Rice also. He's right up there to me with Barry Sanders in the 90s, even the late 80s for sure. He calls out Randy Moss as well. I think Randy Moss is there from a stats and a skill perspective, but he just doesn't get the love in the hobby.
That's Moss's rookie year. That's why he's including Moss there.
Right. Fair. But he said, yeah, Barry, Rice, and Moss, but he says those years, right? He is talking about like that era, but I think you make a good point. That is Moss's rookie year. So you're going to have that extra little bump for that for sure. Vintage says, Adam, I'd love your thoughts on 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 9s, easily over 2K on Pop Report, yet so few of them seem to come for sale. Yeah. It's almost like we see more 10s than 9s.
I wonder
about that, Adam.
He might be right. Vintage is a super smart guy. He's probably right. We see the 10s here because the Premier is designed for that level. The 9s you could sort of put in weekly, and I think reasonably expect them to do as well as they would do in a Premier. And then you're paying a lower fee. So maybe that's part of it, is that we're just uber focused on the Premier and not on the weekly. You're laughing. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at David. Who's the Keith Van Horn of that football set? He said.
Well, let's see. I can answer that, David. Let's see. So in basketball, I said he's the 4th best rookie, right? So in football, you've got, let's figure this out. In football, you've got Manning, then you've got Moss, then
Marvin Harrison.
Then you've got Charles Woodson or Marvin Harrison. So he's either Charles Woodson or Marvin Harrison. There's my answer for you, David.
So I bought a card lately. This is pretty funny here. I'm just going to I bought a card. It hasn't arrived yet, but I'm going to show you guys this card that I picked up. It's from 1910. And
I'm
card.
Excited.
Yeah, well, this is
it hockey? Is it hockey or baseball?
Nope.
It's non-sports. It's not basketball. I know that.
It's from 1910. It's in a PSA 4 holder. The only reason I bought it is because I have a pool table in my basement. I've been playing a lot of pool.
Wow.
I do my shows, and then I go downstairs and I shoot pool. And I bought the. I was actually doing some research into vintage hockey cards, and I found a site, a vintage sports card site, and this image was like on the sidebar, and I was like, that's a beautiful image that's just a beautiful image of someone playing pool. So I researched, who is Albert Cutler? He's not even the best pool player of the era, but I researched who he was. I read about him. I thought, you know what? I bought it for $50. Like, I just wanted, so I've got my first billiards card. It's a T218 Champions, Albert Cutler, PSA 4, billiards player. I could never make a shot like that, but I just thought it was fun.
Okay,
Jay
if we're doing
Cutler's grandfather says, oh, look at that, 90s auctions in the house. Hey, Josh or John says, Jay Cutler's grandfather. There you go. Frankie says, ooh, that's quite the zag. It's not a zag when you're not in it for the money. Like, there's no investment here. I bought it to literally put in my basement on the bar near the pool table.
He's 90s auction is saying Dusty Forever, so I think that is Josh. But if we're doing show and tell, I got to show off my newest mail day. My lighting's terrible, but that is an actual piece of the original, the Sorcerer's Stone from the first Harry Potter movie. I know that is not the room here that needs to see this, but serial numbered at a 265. You never see them come up for auction, never. And so that's like it's not the best card from the world of Harry Potter because it's not the rarest. There's some really rare prop cards from the movies that I love. But the fact that they took that movie's, like that stone from the movie, they actually cut it up and they put it into cards, to me is like insane. That stone 100% should be like in the Smithsonian. So I love owning a piece of that thing. I think it's awesome.
I think that's really cool. You got an actual movie prop relic in there. Come on. And this piece of the Sorcerer's Stone. That's really cool, man. That is cool. Like, I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I'm not against Harry Potter, but that's really neat, man. So yeah.
I love Signed and Slabbed. Is that a Harry Potter fingernail relic? It does. It's about the size of like if you waited like a month and a half to cut your nails. It's about that size. So it's not huge, but it's there. It's there.
So when I told you about a card from 1910, you had no thought it would be a billiards card, huh?
You could have let me play 20 questions and I still wouldn't have gotten there, man.
You'd never get there. I know. I can't wait for it to arrive. It should be here any day. Maybe it'll hit my post office tomorrow and I'll check it out. All right, man. Guys, this was a lot of fun, Adam. I never know what kind of conversation we're going to get into. The beautiful thing is we can disagree with respect and with understanding, because it's not so much disagreeing. I don't think disagreeing to me is like, maybe it's the same thing. I'm trying to just.
It's the wrong word. You're like, today we had this fantastic conversation around playing days and around like insert versus uber high end game used auto. We talked about the Jordan Logo Man auto, the Ultimate 2003 Jordan Logo Man auto, and comparing that to the PMG Green. It's such a cool conversation, man. Like, there's so much nuance to it, and we learn a lot about how we value things as collectors. And sometimes it feels like disagreeing, but I think really what we do is we shine a light on like what we prefer as collectors, and hopefully what other people do is they're participating in the chat is sort of asking themselves like, what resonates more with me? I'm sure there's people who listen to me and go, gosh, Adam's a freaking idiot. Why does he think that? That's so stupid. Like, I think this and that, and what I think is right. And what's great is, like you said, reasonable people can disagree and be friends at the end and like just respect the heck out of each other. And I think that's why we've had the success we've had in the last 3 years, Jeremy. Is like, I think you know more about some things than anybody that I know. And I love hearing your perspective. And there's times where I find myself being persuaded. And then there's other times where I realize like why I collect what I collect. And dude, I just love the conversations. And man, the chat again tonight, Jeremy, was awesome. These guys in here today.
If everybody collected the same thing, it would be kind of boring. And in a way, it's kind of good that there's so many options out there. Even in ultra modern, you can collect different things. A lot of people, you all want those gold prisms because there's only 10 of them and they are beautiful. But it's good to find something that you can collect that not everybody else is after, and enjoy the whole process. Like, one of the best parts of buying a card is after you buy it. So you buy a card ton on PWCC, and then you're going to order, unless you keep it in the vault, you're going to order it to come home, ship it out. And then you got that week or two or however long you got to wait for it to come in. You get that rush again. The rush is winning the auction. The next rush is it getting there in the mail. You get to enjoy it. Maybe the third rush is posting it up and sharing with your friends, your hobby friends and acquaintances on whatever platform you use, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or whatever, Facebook and such. So it's, the hobby has endless amounts of ways that people can approach it and collect. And that's why I say it's not like we're disagreeing. It's like, I don't care that you collect what you collect. I'm glad you collect what you collect. I'm glad that Rage and Zach and Vintage and Signed and Slabbed and everyone in the chat, I'm just looking at what's in front of me here, the names, not to leave anybody out, Frankie and 90s and everybody. Like, I love that you guys all collect what you collect. The fact that I don't collect it doesn't mean that I'm disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's not as important to me. Is that a disagreement, or is it just a difference of preference? And I think I don't know how to, I'm not finding the ways to articulate that distinction, but I think there is one there.
There are some people who would say, that's a bad card. That card sucks. And I don't like that. I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea that we should try to tell people what is good. Like, I can say like the hobby views it as this, or the hobby views it as that. And I think that that's sort of an appropriate way to do it. But I don't like it when people try to convince people to collect a certain way, or tell, like, even, do you remember, Jeremy, when like the regular base prism stuff was going so crazy, right? And so many people were like, gosh, this is going to crash. This is bad. It's the stuff's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, saying that it was probably going to crash is one thing, but saying that something's bad, like, if somebody loves base prism, I want them to collect that. In fact, when somebody comes to the table with this is what I think is awesome, and it's different than what everybody else thinks, to me, there's nothing better in the hobby. When somebody says, this is the stake that I'm going to put in the ground, this is the thing that I love, and I'm going to collect it, and I don't care what everybody else thinks. I think this thing's freaking awesome. To me, that's the very best thing that you can do in the hobby, because that's you.
And I just have to add to that, when anybody says that, oh, you shouldn't collect that, those are bad cards. Well, what if that's all you can afford? What if you're just getting into the hobby and you like it, and then somebody tells you they're bad? Now you could, like, that's enough to get people out of the hobby. Like,
that's right.
It's this, there's a lot of talk about hobby negativity. That is hobby negativity. When you poop on other people's cards and what they like and how they collect. Now, there's a difference between pooping on those cards and saying to them, listen, these cards are good entry level cards, and if you know who you're talking to and you know that they have better or more financial resources, and you can just try to steer them into, cards that are going to be that they might like just as much, but might not be subject to financial losses down the road. And that's not always what's important. Obviously, we like to collect. You want to collect. What I'm saying is that experience can still go a long way. And when someone new comes in the hobby, I get people asking me all this. I get DMs all the time asking me this, and that, like opinion on this, opinion on that, all the time. And it's like, those are people who I think are serious about the hobby, and they want to minimize what they will end up considering to be mistakes down the road if they don't draw on other people's experience. But what's super tough to work into all that is that I don't know what that person's going to like. I'm not in their head. So I don't want to steer them in the direction of what I would like, because I don't know I don't know that that's what's going to make them happy down the road. So it's sometimes really hard. You know how it goes, Adam. I'm sure you do the same thing. Someone says, what should I buy? Should I buy a box of this, or a box of this? It's like, have a look at I don't know what you should buy. I know what I would buy. And if that's what you want to know, and you just want to follow what me or anyone else does, fine. I'll tell you what I would buy, but I don't know what you should buy. You know what I mean? There's a distinction there too.
And to go to the investment side of it real quick, if there's one thing that's been historically pretty accurate, it's that the masses don't know what's going to be the big thing. The masses are often wrong. So if you look back at, the late 90s, everybody was jumping into the game used as fast as they possibly could. I know you remember this. We were both there, right? Like, people were, I need to get the jerseys. How many jerseys are in each box? I remember just working at the card shop, everybody would ask that question, like, how many hits are in each box? And what they meant is how many jerseys there are. There was a time where jerseys were viewed as better than autographs. People don't believe that. Like, that time existed. It 100% did. But then as time goes by, you look back and it's like, oh, it was those numbered cards that people were sort of over at that point. In 1999, nobody cared about the numbered stuff that came out in 97. They all wanted the new jerseys and autographs. You could go back and find some of those for a real song back then. And now we fast forward to today, and boy, if you had just really put your stake in the sand that you wanted to find all of those PMGs and essential credentials and rubies, you could have, if your goal was to invest, you could have made a fortune if that had been the thing that you'd wanted to do. But we're not here to talk about how to make a fortune. We're here to talk about how to collect and to enjoy it. And Jeremy, you said it best, man. You collect what you like, and I don't know what you like. You've got to figure that out on your own.
Yeah. Rage makes a really good comment here. He says, it's a barbershop convo amongst collectors. That's what it is. 100%. No disagreement, just learning. Right? I think that's a smart comment from Rage. The just learning part, right? We can be talking, we can be having different opinions on what we like and what we think is important. Whether you think game used patches or non-game used is that important, or the sticker auto versus non, playing days versus non. These are all things that are important to some, not as important to others. Newfie wants to know what day to recommend the expo, the 3-day card show. Well, Toronto's a 4-day show. Newfie, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll tell you what, Thursday, early Friday is going to be the best selection. Sunday will be the best deals, but most of the good stuff will be gone by then. Most of the good stuff will probably be gone by Saturday, to be honest. By good stuff, I mean the stuff that the most people want. Zach Swisher says, Wax Museum loves Flux basketball. By and large, the market doesn't like Flux. Collect in your way and don't look back. Yeah. Zach says, collect what you love. If you don't love it, don't collect it. I just happen to have a Chicago Bulls issue. Yeah. When what you love is very expensive, that's a whole other thing for sure. Rage says, like I tell my kids, as long as you like it, I love it. Yeah, that's another great comment from Rage. And Newfie says, Edmonton Newfie. Again, Friday will be the best selection. Sunday will be the best deals. So it depends. If you want selection or deals, I recommend going both or all 3 days. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. Okay, let's wrap up, Adam. We've done like 25 minutes since the auction ended, if not more. This was fun. Thank you to the chat as always. We're still running. We got 115 people with us right now. We got 50 on Twitter or X. 65 right now on YouTube. I haven't even looked at the Instagram feed for a while. 3 people in with us on Instagram right now. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. I got no more final comments. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Oh, hold on. Zach Swisher, final thoughts on Wemby, guys. Feels important.
Yeah.
I saw the question earlier, Zach. I forgot about it. What was that? What was that question, Zach?
Well, I think like, let's see what it sold for.
Well, it did 518. Oh, he said, his question was, when was the last time we saw a card sell on the Premier Auction for $500,000? And I don't remember. I mean, I don't.
I think it's Karn's exquisite LeBron. I think it was the last time we saw $500,000.
That's a year ago. It's about a year ago then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so.
Professor, thank you very much for sticking through it. Nuthi, thank you so much. David, thank you. And thank you for providing the comedy as well, David.
Don't be late next time, David. Don't be late.
Next time, be on time. And you need to check in, guys. Roll call at the beginning. 10 minutes in, that's the grace time. Then we take roll call for at least David. We'll take a roll call for Sign and Slab. The rest of you guys are excused to come late. Anyway, we're kidding. This is a lot of fun. Adam, thank you for joining. Chat, thank you so much. Thank you to anybody who happened to use the SCL affiliate bidding code, the affiliate code for bidding on PWCC. Greatly appreciate that. David. All right, guys. Adam, well, hey, show off the BCF magazine. There it is, guys. Subscribe to bcfmag.com if you are not yet. But Adam can always hook you up through his Instagram as well if you want to get in touch with him there. And also, I've just launched sportscardslive.com. Brand new. I got the domain, sportscardslive.com.
Good job.
Very lucky how I got it and very generous. A hobby veteran transferred over to me. So anyway, check that out. Got the .com. It's not that exciting yet, but I'll be building it out. Anyway, guys, thank you everyone for joining. This was fun. Good night, Adam. Good night, everybody in the chat. Adam, you hang tight for a minute. Everybody else, this episode of the PWCC Premier Auction Ending Watch Party for April 2024 is now over. Thank you, everybody. There's Adam's fingernail right there. All right, guys. Thanks and good night. Thank you, Michael Steinberg. Thank you, Frankie. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Zach. And for real now, this episode is now over.